Hello. Hello. Hi guys. I am not at all nervous, I think. Yeah. Miria. Hello everyone. Welcome to the stream. It is I, Miria from Kamera Virtual Live, and today I'm just going to be talking a lot about D&D. Rainy? Can you actually hear the rain? Are you guys hearing the rain? Are you? Are you? Can you actually hear the rain through my mic? Holy crap! Jamaras, thank you so much for being a member for 2 months. Time for some cozy Zatsu Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, rain is pretty loud. Oh my god. Okay, well, now you know. It's raining. I don't know if you heard the thunder as well. It just thundered. But yeah, and the thunder. Yeah, it's quite... You can lower the gain and move the mic closer to your face. It's as close to my face as it already is, I think. I think. Like, my microphone has the benefit of, like, almost bumping cheeks with me every now and then. Let's see. Ganito yung mga pinapakinggan ko pag natutulog, so it's okay. Lanzi, thank you so much for the super chat. Or well, rather, being a member for 7 months. I hear the thunder. This mood is perfect for D&D Taverns Zatsudan. Well, we find ourselves in a small but cozy tavern. It's fairly well lit. There seems to be a lot of people hanging out, and there's this lone barmaid who seems to be busy writing things instead of serving other people. No, inside my mouth. It's next to my cheek. It's next to my cheek. It's next to my cheek. Alright. Is that my favorite DM? Mikado, hello, welcome to the stream. Hey, hi. Yeah, actually, I'm using like the big, the mic that I'm using actually has like a, an option for which foam you're using, and I use the fluffier foam. So when it hits my cheek, it kind of like melts into it. I don't know. Perfect storytelling ambience. I don't know. It's what I'm not really gonna be storytelling, I guess. I don't know. I'm gonna nitpick at my brain and think about what I've been doing for the past few like months when it comes to like D&D stuff. So yeah, I'm here to learn about being a DM and to get some tips on homebrews. Oh, that's nice to hear. I hope you actually go through the adventure and like, you know, manage to come up with a really nice story. Bosu, thank you so much for being a member for 8 months. Whoa, 8 months, Ika's proud of you. Thank you. I'll be preparing my own session while I listen. Oh, that's nice. That's nice to hear. Yeah. Konniria. Anyway, yeah, honestly, this really was just going to be like a talking kind of stream. And you guys kind of know how I often get carried away whenever I'm talking. So I tried to come up with like an outline. I tried to come up with an outline for what I plan to do, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna derail myself and like, you know, go elsewhere when it comes to like what I'm talking about. But in essence, right? So we're it's Dungeons and Dragons. It is me talking about making adventures because I've made my fair share of adventures in a homebrew setting. So I guess what I'm gonna be talking about is dissecting the previous adventures that I've made before, and at the same time, think about how I can use that process to make new adventures. Yes, it's an outline. Reinbeer! Oh my god, it's one of my players back then. Member for 8 months. Thank you so much for being an executive consultant for 8 months. Yes, it's actually just 7 months technically. Hello, DM. Yeah, welcome. Hello, Miria. Hello, welcome to the stream. So yeah, the thing that I've been thinking about doing is just like probably writing around on a white background and drawing, or not really drawing, because like that's not really my forte, but yeah, because like I have a tendency to write my thoughts out whenever I'm planning and preparing for a D&D session. So there is that as well. Yeah. So I hope the rain isn't too off-putting. I didn't realize how loud it was going to be. Like not at all. I didn't think of it that way. But I guess it's fine. Yeah. Alright. Hello. Right. So let's get started. Yeah. I've prepared like a drawing screen for me so that it's gonna be easier for me to just like write my thoughts down. Yeah, natural ambience. Yeah, it is. Alright. Oh, wait. I need music for this one too. There you go. Yeah. Hello, hello. This is me. Now, Miria. That small little doodle right there is saying hi. I'm Miria and I can't really draw. This was just so that we don't start with like a blank screen. Yeah, it's small Miria. This is just so that we don't start with a blank screen because it is. I tried to make it not as white as possible. This is like a very light gray. This is a very light gray. Yeah, and I guess it's more of like handwriting. It's more of like handwriting than anything else, I guess, because it's really just going to be me babbling. I really thought may BGM talaga from the start pa lang. Ah, there is. Is it not audible? Hindi ba rinig? There should be. I feel like there should be. Can you guys hear the piano? It's like some jazzy music popping out. Yeah. Alright. So, yeah, let me... A bit. Okay. Maybe it's a little bit too... Ah, your rain sounds... Oh, okay. I understand now. Alright. There you go. Alright, so right now, I guess, I kind of want to think about how I usually make stories happen. I'm thinking about how I usually make stories happen, right? So I'm removing this and I'm making another layer. I'm probably gonna write in a darker color. So I guess we'll start with making adventures. Pasintabi po sa kumakain when you see my handwriting. With S. There we go. Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons is a tabletop game. It's a game where you come together with a lot of other people and you play around the story with others as pretend adventurers, and you explore this imaginary land and at the same time like conquer beasts and monsters while saving something. I guess if you're going the heroic route for things, right? But I guess there are some Dungeons and Dragons campaigns that actually like do the evil route instead. Like you don't have to be a good person. You don't have to be a good person, you know? Like I think you can pretty much play anything in Dungeons and Dragons. And it just happens to... What matters is that you're playing with the right kind of people. Yeah, you can go the villain route. Want to play that with the boys someday. I hope you find a group. A DM, a group, you know. Yeah. A game where DMs want to strangle the players deep inside. Technically, some DMs feel that way. I have never wanted to strangle my players. I don't think so. I don't think I've ever come across that kind of problem yet. It's more of like I would want to like whisk myself, my own character into the adventure and like bonk them on the head so you can be better than this, but never like strangle them. I would never want to strangle people. So a sci-fi campaign with pew pew laser pistols and spaceships are possible. Yeah, there are, but at that point you might want to also check out like other tabletop RPGs that focus more on the sci-fi route. You can definitely like blend D&D into something that can do that. Yeah. Mala Star Wars. I tried a sci-fi TTRPG before. Sci-fi TTRPG. And it was called... How do you spell RPG? RPG. I think it was called Stars Without Number. It was Stars Without Number. Yeah. This is more of a sci-fi kind of... Yeah, there are specialized systems for that. And this is more of like that kind of system. So usually we call TTRPGs like systems because they usually like they have a change in mechanics for stuff like that. So anyway, making adventures, right? When I want to make an adventure for my players, because most of the time I do the homebrew route, right? I usually have to think of a problem. So basically, my job as a dungeon master is to make problems for my players to solve. So essentially, the reason why they're having a hard time is because of me. It's because of me. I would make a problem for them, and they're in charge of solving it, essentially. It all boils down to being good at making problems, and I think I'm good at that. Anyway, but yeah, actually, it all boils down to having a scenario that you kind of want to play out. You want it to... Ah! It's scary. Okay, I don't know if you guys heard that, but it's also like really, really loud, so like, I'm pretty sure you guys heard that. Okay. That was really loud. That was really loud. Anyway. Yeah, it was kind of malakas nga. Someone cast it under it. Yeah. Anyway, essentially, like, it's a dark and stormy night, and adventurers are gathering by the tavern, thinking about their next plan of action. Alright, so it always starts out for me, okay? Like, I come up with a problem, and I figure out if this is a problem that I want, like, the players to deal with, or if it's something that we can just pass around elsewhere. Kilapon, thank you so much for being a member for 8 months. Alone, it's just a journey, now an adventure they must be shared. Yeah, thank you, thank you. Alright, it all boils down to having a problem. And whether this is a problem for the players, or a problem for the world itself that the players walk around in, I guess it's something that they will eventually end up encountering. Right? So, right. So I come up with a problem, and I figure out if this is a problem that is solvable by the players, or if this is a problem that I would just happen to put into the background. If I put this into the background, if I put this in... Oh, will you see this if... What kind of problems are there? Oh, I lost my sheep because last night I left the stables and the farm area unlocked because I was very tired and I went to sleep early. And now when I woke up, most of my sheep are gone. Yeah, that's a problem. That's a very basic premise for a quest, you know. You ask a few adventurers, you pay them some coin, and then they'll say, okay, I'll look for your sheep for you. Honestly, it's like, that's the basicest you can go. Anything mundane can be a quest starter. Anything mundane can be a quest starter. Oh my god, okay. Yeah, Mary, how's your keyboard doing? It's really hard for me to press T. You could have an interesting plot where you find a werewolf about to attack the sheeps. It's really scared. Slightly. I'm not a fan of it, but my windows are blocked, so if there's ever any lightning, I won't see it. Because I think lightning is what scares me a lot, right? Okay, so let's start with the sheep problem, right? If there's a problem with the sheep, right? So let's pretend that these are sheep. Let's pretend that these are sheep. I don't know if sheep have ears that like go up their heads. Yeah, this is a sheep. Do they have tails? There we go. It's a sheep, right? No, that was thunder, but I wasn't able to see if there was lightning because I blocked my windows. Yeah, so this is a sheep, right? This is how I usually structure my problems, right? It's not a poodle! It's not a poodle. Am a sheep. Alright, so when you epic cult reference, Shaun the Sheep. Oh, I missed that show. Anyway, okay, so like I usually start with a very mundane problem because like, oh, it's an easy way to like hook adventurers in, right? Because you really wanna feed onto someone's willingness to be a hero for someone. And I feel like a lot of adventurers, unless you're a very experienced adventurer and you're tired of that life and you kind of want to just go crazy and evil, then this is not for you, all right? But it can't be that bad. Can't be that bad. Okay. Alright, so we start with sheep. And for example, I am a farmhand that went to bed early because it was a very tiring day at the farm. right? It was a very quite the advent. Hi, hello, welcome to the stream. Sorry, hello. Yeah, today collect sheep, tomorrow kill God. Okay, so like when an adventurer hears that a farmhand just fell asleep early and forgot to lock the sheep pen or whatever it is called, like a stable. What do you call like the living quarters for sheep, right? They fell asleep early, and like what's that? The sheep eventually like disappeared. I will preemptively have a power interruption announcement prepared for you. Okay, I hope there won't be a power interruption. That would be horrible. Alright, so yeah, sheep. We have sheep. And a normal adventurer would probably think like, oh, what a very clumsy farmer. Alright, I'll help you. But what's in it for us, right? Oh no, it's not just one sheep. Like maybe like times 7 sheep disappeared, right? 7 sheep disappeared. And for an adventurer's like willing to make a quick buck out of it, like, oh, I just want some gold, so like I'll look for your sheep for you, I'll bring them back, you give me the money. That's usually how it goes, because adventurers love money. What else would they be up to if not for like adventuring for gold, right? So yeah, the farmhand then tells them that, oh, I get the feeling that maybe they went this way or that, and you might want to search for them in this area, right? So these adventurers, right? These adventurers would probably, let's say it's a party of 5. I don't know why that guy has a very long neck but short. There's a very small one there too. All right, so this party of 5 are like, oh, okay. Let's check out this place. If you want, you can slip away to the other side. Maybe we can split the party. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think in general though, like the long neck is a UNT. Yeah. Like I don't normally think that a lot of adventurers expect greater evils coming from a very mundane task. I don't think that they do that, you know. Like they'd be like, oh, it's such a simple task, I can get that done in an hour and probably have lunch after, right? Natil, thank you so much for being a member for 8 months. Has it really been 8 months? I think so. No, it's actually 7. YouTube is just like mahilig mag-advance, you know. Yeah. So I don't think regular run-of-the-mill adventurers would think of really drastic story subplots for missing sheep. At what level do you usually start your adventures? I usually start them at level 2. Sometimes level 1 is fun, but you can easily get like mauled to death by a goblin, and I don't think a lot of new adventurers would want to die to goblins on the first day. Alright, so they're gonna look around. Oops. They're gonna start looking around. They will ask other NPCs, and they will gather information. And that's where I usually like peppering things down. This is where I usually like building up the plot itself. Conmiria, hello, welcome. Yeah, this is where I usually start building the plot up when people start to look for answers to their problems or to their questions. Like this is the best way to pepper up the quest. So it's not going to be like a very boring sheep search anymore, right? So maybe they ask some random tavern goers or maybe people in the village, hey, have you seen some sheep around here? Or where could we find sheep at this area? You know? So yeah, usually this is the very critical moment. This is the very critical moment that I apply as a DM. So once they start gathering information, someone will probably be able to answer their questions. Oh, I kind of saw them in the forest clearing. I saw like a flock of sheep heading that way, although I'm not sure why, because there's grass everywhere anyway, right? So they have a lead. Afterwards, they have a lead. They have somewhere to go and somewhere to investigate. And this is where things get spicy. Usually I like messing with my players by making it seem like it's such a dangerous thing. And I'd like to think that it is a very dangerous thing, you know. Wait. There was a super chat that I didn't get to read earlier. I feel like I got distracted. Lazy Coffee, thank you so much for the super chat. New keyboard plans, Miriam Pat. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I got the feeling like I overlooked something. Thank you. I start at level 3 because it's kind of sad to not have a subclass. Some classes get their subclasses early, so I guess there's that. Yeah. So once they gather their information, they finally have a lead, and they have somewhere that they're supposed to like go to, right? I mentioned that they would probably be in a forest clearing, so this will probably be like trees and all. Yeah, forest clearing probably. Probably like a lot of trees around here. How many plot lines or problems do you give the players in one go? Oh, I give them a massive problems, and I decided, oh, maybe you guys gotta like solve this one first before going. But sometimes the players create problems as well, right? So this is the forest clearing. Like this is like the path that they have to take, right? So the adventurers would like end up discovering strange and nasty shit around here. I need the person with the long neck. There we go. And then the small guy here. Yeah. Knowing Miria, that sheep is gonna turn into a Count Bacula. How to raise the blood pressure of players. You want to open doors? Well, they're going to a forest, so there's probably not a door somewhere there. Alright, so here's the thing. And here's where things kind of get like a little bit fun, I think. I'd like to think this is where things get fun. The moment that these adventurers would make themselves... the moment that the adventurers make their way towards this forest, right? Towards this forest, I guess. That's where the fun usually starts if I want to pepper in a lot of like questions and adventure parts for this. Also, hi, welcome to the stream. I wouldn't say it's a jump scare. I don't think you can truly jump scare in D&D. Can you? If you're a DM, like, please let me know how to do that, because I don't know how to scare my players. I can make my players like really nervous. I can make them worry about NPCs. I feel like that's my forte. I think my forte as a DM is like making my players care about NPCs, but not anything else. All right, so the players, the adventurers, right, would go towards this clearing right here. They'd go there, and what they'd find is, let me erase this one first. Mira can make you nervous, can confirm. Right. So they go into the forest clearing, and then they find... This looks more like a mole rat than a sheep. How do I make them like have a tongue outlet? Nope. Yeah, it's dead. They find a dead sheep. XP. Yeah. I was in a greedy campaign where I constantly feared for my life, if that counts. Yeah. I feel like tension is different from immediate scares, though. Oh my god, a flying zombie. No, this is the ground. Okay, this is the ground. And they find, like, what's the color of Danganronpa blood? It's like bright pink, right? It's bright pink. Let's use Danganronpa blood so I don't get flagged. Right. I think Danganronpa blood is like around this color. How do you make Danganronpa color blood? It's like neon pink, right? There we go. Highlighter pink. On the topic of scaring players, that's not hell. Hell is a dark forest where your father opens the ribcage and invites you to dance. What? Yeah. Ta-da! Danganronpa blood. Blood on the floor. There we go. You won't get flagged with red. Oh, I'm not sure. I was worried about it, so I went with this color. Miriam juice color. Alright, so the adventurers find a dead sheep. And I'm pretty sure that I've never met my fair share of adventurers that shunned their way out of like... I've never met adventurers that shunned their way out of a very interesting story hook. Hello, friendly mulligan enjoyer. Alright. maybe in a face-to-face setting and pre-planning some noises affects IRL, but other than that, it's usually more plot twists. Yeah, it's really more of like how you manage the story. Anyway, so like they find a dead sheep, and I personally have not met any of my players who instantly go like, oh, okay, there's a dead sheep here, let's just go back to that farmer boy and tell him, oh, we can't find your sheep, sorry, have a nice day. Like usually, and I say usually, like adventurers really want to get to the bottom of the problem, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. They happen to like doing that, I guess. They really want to get to the root of the problem, or they want to find out what just happened, because their adventurer brains really just want to figure out what went wrong. Conmiria, hello, welcome. Yeah, so they find this dead sheep on the ground, and they don't know what they're going to do. And the moment that a dead sheep appears here, right, the first thing that prompts me to think about what happens here is the first thing that I think about is that players will investigate. Players will investigate, and then eventually, right, I can put in a lot of the different kinds of things that I want them to learn about, like lore and stuff. Yeah. So the moment that they investigate, this is where I throw in all of the story hooks. Like, what's so interesting about a sheep anyway? Why would they care? Well, they still want the gold, and if they don't figure out what's going on, then, you know, they won't get money. But at the same time, I've never really seen an adventurer that thinks about self-preservation at all. I don't know why, but for some reason, they really want to risk life and limb. So they do anything to get in on that story. In a comedy setting, if in a comedy setting there could be a chance that the shunning actually happens, players who are smart, you know, would understand that, oh, maybe this might be too dangerous for me. I'll just look for a different thing to do. I'll look for a different job. And it's not really a bad thing, you know, but that makes for a very, very short D&D session. You'd be like, okay, goodbye, DM. I'll see you next week. Thanks for the game. Yeah. Usually it's when there's a plot twist that you would want to put in all of your story hooks at some point. They want to figure out if someone rich is behind the problem so they can shake them down for gold. But for real, Miria, what should I do if my players actually do just shun the sheep and report to the farmer that their flock is dead? Then you don't give them money. But I think the important thing here is that you need to figure out what your players, like not the adventurers, what your players really want out of D&D. Like, some people would love to play D&D because they want to roleplay. They want to roleplay a character and they want to be someone else for a while. Some people like Dungeons and Dragons because they want to beat people up, you know, in a tabletop RPG, not in real life. But like, they want to beat people up. They're in it for the combat. And some people are into D&D because they want to explore new worlds, and they really like investigating, looking around places, listening to descriptions or the story itself. So if you feel like your players would shun an adventure hook like this, maybe it's time to go and actually talk to them and ask, okay, what is it that you're actually looking for in our D&D sessions? Because I feel like I'm not hitting that sweet spot where we both have fun, and decide on things from there. Because if you are not having fun as a DM and your players aren't having fun with you as a DM with the story, then there's probably something wrong that's happening there. Yeah, self-preservation and adventuring does not mix at all. Adventurers are reckless and crazy, but it's fun to have them that way. To be fair, if it was late and he'd be like, sheep's dead, time to report back and get paid. No, the thing is, you won't get paid if you don't bring the sheep back. That's the thing. And I think that's the threat that adventurers have to deal with, because they won't get their money for anything like this. D&D is an escape from reality, just going to another reality. I like being someone else in D&D. Yeah, I feel like I can be cooler in D&D, but I realize that whenever I play Dungeons and Dragons, most of the characters are just reflections of myself, and I feel like a loser. It's important to know the expectations and wishes of your players at the start of the campaign, like the first day of school. Yeah, you have to set expectations. You gotta force them to carry the sheep carcass and introduce the B-plot through the farmer. Relate for real. Yeah, I feel like all of my NPCs and all of the characters that I've made to play D&D with are kind of just like fragments and reflections of myself. And that's the hard part, right? Because like, oh, that's me. I'm my character. That's I don't know. It's hard. All right. Time to grapple, drag a dead sheep back to the farmer. Leighton yeah, that's exactly what Leighton did. You were dragging a semi-dead woman body to the side of like the palace or the ballroom, you know? I remember that part. Why sheep dead? Yeah, people will always wonder why. Or at least if not wonder, then they're gonna think about it at some point. The hard part is usually what to do when the party goes off path and choose unexpected choices. Which is, as a DM, something that you don't end up accounting for all the time, because it's really hard to discern if this is a thing that your characters would do, your players would do, or, you know. But yeah, it takes a lot of practice to learn how to improvise as a dungeon master. And frankly speaking, I feel like I haven't really achieved that high of like a skill when it comes to improvising for stuff. But anyway, so yeah, the players will investigate. The players will begin investigating the dead sheep, and they're gonna ask why. If they're your run-of-the-mill adventurers, yes, they will definitely ask why, and they're gonna be like, wait a second, I wanna look into the cause of this problem. Why would the sheep be dead? I mean, I think sheep would just be grazing on grass somewhere. What made them go to the forest clearing in the first place when there's literally grass everywhere? Right? So there's something strange. You don't make it seem like it's normal at first, but there is something strange that's happening. When they drag the sheep back, turns out the farmer's level 20 secret boss. No, I wouldn't beat people up. It should still work as long as you have a good party to bounce off of, even if you're... No, well, to be fair, you really have to find your mix of players and the perfect DM for you. So it really is a mixed bag. Some people find their DM, like the funnest DM ever. And some people don't like who they're playing with. So it's really a trial and error kind of thing. Too much planning is fine if it's fun, otherwise it's not worth it. Yeah, you have to have fun about it, with it. You have to have fun with it. Because like, if it's becoming like a chore to you, then I would say you're better off making things on the fly, you know? In my case, the players wonder why somewhere else, and I'm here pulling my hair out. Relatable though, sometimes my players think about like the strangest things, like why are you looking at that? That's... like they would investigate this potted plant in a room when there's specifically a knife on the other side, and they're not investigating the right thing. Like, what am I gonna do with you? But there is literally nothing in that pot. Are you sure you want to investigate? Yes, DM, I'd like to use my nature skill to determine if this plant is gonna help us in our adventure. And then they start rolling, and then like, there's really nothing in this plant for you to do. Yeah, you can just say it's just a pot, but then they're gonna be like, oh, I don't trust the DM. Maybe there's really something about this potted plant that's important, you know? The body has a stab. The pot is in the pot. Also, good evening. Hello, welcome. Have you ever DM'd a party full of murder hobos? I've experienced it, but they were willing to keep their murderous tendencies in check. But I have been a player in a adventure party where there was a major murder hobo, and I'm not sure how it went, how the DM handled it, but because I never came back. Because like they literally murdered like an NPC that was super important to the story, and the DM just had it, you know. when they roll, they land a 20, and you just say it's a pot. Yeah. Yeah. What did the author mean with this pot? It's a literal pot. Yeah. Sometimes it's okay. I understand they're investigating, and I don't mind, but sometimes it's hard because you kind of want to lead them to like the right direction, but they have to also earn it. But at the same time, they might be taking too long. Yeah. Yes, players usually hyperfixate on something, and it's okay. I don't particularly mind it. I just wish I know how to like steer them towards the right direction a little bit better. Bame clue, Bame hidden item. There was secretly a knife hidden in the soil of the potted plant, which was used to stab the dead body you saw in the other room. You have found the murder object, but now you have to wonder, why was the knife buried with a potted plant? Players, what do you mean there's just a random mushroom on a cart in front of the guild hall? I want to examine. Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, you guys were like checking out mushrooms. I'm like, okay, sure, mushrooms. Right. Okay, so back to this, right? So we think about the story hook. We think about the why. Why was there a dead sheep on the ground with its blood spilling out? And the adventurers notice that it's like pretty fresh. like the blood is pretty fresh. It's like still seeping out from the body of the sheep. But then you're made to wonder, where are the other sheep? Because remember, the farmhand said they had 7 sheep. So the players will supposedly like become more interested, right? They will be interested in whatever could have happened there. I mean, in my point of view, if I were a player, the mention of a specific pot of plant would be kind of sus. If I were a player, I think I'll make dumb decisions too. So I don't really blame anyone. Like, as a dungeon master, I'd be like, okay, I understand. If I were in your shoes, I'd probably look at the plant as well. Benefit for rolling perception the moment they enter the scene. Well, sometimes players base it more off of the map that they're presented with more than just my descriptions. A clue. Yeah, there was a potted plant there. It was meant to add to the environment of the room. Like, you know, make the homeowners happy. They have a pet plant. Anyway, so we look at the whys of things, right? And there's only 1 sheep on the ground. And they're gonna start wondering what could have killed the sheep and not really take it with them. Because, like, if you were going to kill a sheep, usually you would do so for food, maybe. Like, you want to feed yourself. Maybe you have, like, a family that you would want to feed. So you wouldn't really gut the sheep, take its entrails and stuff, like maybe its internal organs, harvest it and just leave the rest of the body there. It's either meant as a warning sign, or maybe they're not interested in the sheep itself, but maybe there was something that they were taking, like its internal organs or something, and they leave it on the ground there. There has to be a meaning. Miria, don't examine random stuff on the area. Also, Miria, there's dirt on this. Hey, the dirt was important. Just so you guys know, the dirt was important. Alright, so the moment. Has it started? Am I back? I feel like the rain's dying down. Maybe. Who knows? Okay, I'm back. Yay. Yeah. Where was I? Yeah, like, yeah, the rain is getting weaker. I hope the power isn't fizzling out though. Maybe lumilipas na yung ulan. Right, okay. So they find that the sheep is... Why is the Meridian whiteboard so cute? Yeah, I'm just doing... If I had my way, I would never make maps anymore. I'll just draw for the players, but then it's not really that, like, you know, inventive that way. Alright, so they investigate, and the sheep has no internal organs. No internal organs. And that's gonna be really weird. Oh, S. No internal organs. I would like to open the sheep and check its entrails. Well, to be fair, yeah, okay, here's how you investigate the sheep, right? You would kneel closely and look at its body. You're gonna check for what could have killed it, right? So you would check where the mortal wound came from or what happened so that you get a better idea of what you're dealing with, right? I would like to ask the sheep. Yeah, so you poke it with a stick, or you touch it with your bare hands, I don't know, whatever fits your fancy, and you flip the sheep over and you notice that there's been carving, like its insides have been carved out. You see a massive, like, a massive cut on the sheep's on the sheep's stomach, right? And you see that it doesn't really have insides anymore. It's just really an outside. Will that be a survival or a nature check? I think it would be medicine. It wouldn't be animal handling anymore because they're dead. I feel like it's more medicine because, like, in general, like, you're checking for the... Although it could be nature, but I would prefer to use nature for more... What would I use nature for? For more planty stuff. Yeah, it's usually what the DM decides. But in this situation, I feel like it would take medicine because you are checking out a dead thing, right? Right? So it has no internal organs and you're checking out Yeah, naturey things. You check out naturey things. Sometimes dungeon masters have a habit of layering their checks for players. Like, oh, I want you to roll like a survival check and a medicine check together. Yeah, so knowledgey things. Yeah, it doesn't always have to be one thing, right? So there are no internal organs your players find out about that, and they have resolved to find where the other sheep could be. Because, like, there's only one, we have 6 remaining. And maybe this was just a very unlucky sheep at some point. Medicine checks are used for veterinary and stuff in D&D too. It can be pretty much anything. Anything that relates to, like, injuries, more like. It's not really for the sake of it being a sheep. It's more of like anything that refers to health and injury. You can also use investigation. But in this case, right? In this case, I feel like it would be more medicine, but then at some point you would want to investigate what could have killed it. Like, was it a knife? Was there are there other open wounds on the sheep? It really depends. Sometimes the DM will make you think about it. Yeah, sometimes you can even recommend. Sometimes you can even recommend to the DM, oh, DM, is it okay? Because, like, I know my character is good at, like, spotting what's wrong with people. So there's, I don't know, something. Right. Okay, so there are no internal organs, and at some point, the players will look outside of the sheep issue, and they'll start looking for more clues other than this dead body, right? So they're gonna look at the environment. They are going to try perception checks, maybe investigate if there are any other nearby objects that might be pertinent to the adventure. Sometimes they would even use survival to check if there has been any movement on the ground. You know how if you're looking at footsteps, you're checking if there have been any other marks of recent movement in the area. I guess you would use survival for that. Be familiar with the place, stuff like that. So they find that there seems to be footprints. There seems to be some footprints nearby, and they lead away from the forest clearing into an even further direction. And some of the footprints even have blood smeared over them, so it's definitely like a fresh trail. And once these adventurers find this fresh trail, they are once again going to have to make a decision. Hey guys, do you guys still want to follow this? I mean, there's already a dead sheep there, and I kind of don't want to be like this dead sheep right here without their internal organs. So maybe we should just go home, tell the farmer that maybe the sheep are living their better lives without him, and call it a day. But then some character there would say like, but imagine what we could discover if we figure out the root of this problem. If we find out the cause, then we can prevent other farmers from losing their sheep, and we'd be lauded as heroes in this village. Yeah, you know, some adventurers like thinking that way. Some adventurers like thinking that way. So they're gonna they're gonna come up with their own internal conflict, and at the end of the day, I think that it's more likely than anything. It's more likely that they'd push through, they'd pursue this path. I can't believe you'd lie to the farmer. I like that village hero thing. Yeah, sometimes that's how they conceptualize how their characters would be. They really want to like veer towards the heroic way, especially if this is like your general D&D campaign, right? You always want to, it's always nice to feel like a hero, and I think that's what a lot of people who play D&D go for. Like, it's not just about being a character, a role playing a character, a different character, probably different from you in real life, but you want to be cool. Right? You wanna be cool in one way or another. So maybe you can be cool like, yeah, wanting to impress the waitress. or you wanna be cool by having a lot of gold. You wanna be cool by knowing the secrets of the world, that kind of thing. So it matters what kind of cool you actually want to be, and that's usually what adventurers go for. They always want to have this certain gratifying event that happens to them, so that, you know, they feel better about themselves, and I am more than happy to give that to them as long as they like push through with the adventure, right? Thanks for the lost sheep idea. I will incorporate it into a Naruto campaign. Just become a cat. That's cool too. My players are changing their YouTube names into their player names. Hello, yes, become a cat and scare the local guildmate. Did you ever end up in the situation where let's split up the gang was suggested and entertained? Oh, not as a player. I mean, not as a dungeon master, but as a player. And in fact, it was me. I was the one that suggested we split the party because like I was complaining to my co-adventurers like, hey, we've been at this for like a few hours in-game hours already, and I'm like, you know, I feel like it'll be faster if we split up. Maybe you can check this side of the district of the town, and maybe we'll check the other side. And then we split up the party, and then apparently one group went to the church and the other group went to the hospital. And if you've ever played horror games before, those two places cannot be good. So I think our DM had a lot of fun with that because we went to investigate like a religious spot and like a spot where dead people tend to hang out. So I was with the hospital group, and my friends were in the church group. And the church group managed to find like a secret entrance in the church that led to like a deeper, more I don't know, crazier kind of situation where apparently the church was gathering their followers so that they can summon a demon instead. So it kind of like sounds like those regular cult stuff, you know? But they were using they were only accepting like fresh bloods, like children as part of their sacrifices, right? And because we split the party, there were only like 2 people investigating that area. Well, suffice it to say, it was not a fun time because they were outnumbered by the sheer amount of like small demons that kind of, you know, messed their lives up. Meanwhile, me and my friends, we were 3 in the party. We went to the hospital because we were asking around if they've seen any suspicious individuals that have been asking for dead bodies, because the main quest was like, oh, there have been a lot of disappearances in this town. It's a very big town and we wanted to figure out what's going on. So with that in mind, we figured that maybe we could ask the hospital if there have been any sightings or if there have been any stolen dead bodies. And then we talked to like the front desk person at the hospital, and they said like, oh, I'm not sure. We've always just been busy taking care of our patients because we don't have time for stuff like that. But I'll let you investigate if that's what you want. And it didn't sound like it was a bad thing, because like as adventurers, you kind of want to feel like, oh, people are willing to let me have my way. So we thought it was a good thing. We thought it was a good thing. We never doubted like the attendant at the front desk, right? We just like, okay, that was easy. Let's check out the morgue or something. My friends and I went like, oh yeah, let's check the morgue out. They literally just gave us access, huh? Maybe that's what being a famous adventurer does to you. Right? So we went there, and apparently there was nothing there. There weren't any dead bodies. So this kind of like played a part into making us decide that, oh, maybe some people have been stealing dead bodies from the morgue. And then we rushed back upstairs and we found out that the door was locked. So we took like maybe 15 minutes in real time trying to figure out an escape route from the morgue basement. We managed to get out of the basement, right? So we went out of the basement, we went upstairs, and we were looking for the nursing attendant to report like an anomaly. And we're like, hey man, we found missing... No, we wouldn't find it. There were missing dead bodies, and then we found out that there was nothing there. There was nothing there at the front desk. There was no lady. Everything was pretty much barren. There were spiders and cobwebs on the sides of the building. It was like a really rundown building. So we just entered like a haunted hospital. There was nothing there. So after that adventure, we kind of decided I never want to split the party ever again. It was all my fault. Yeah, I think our DM really had a lot of fun with that though. Scared us real good. We all the church party almost died. They almost died. They managed to get away, but just in the nick of time. Otherwise, they could have died. And it would have been my fault. Any advice for running a travel episode session? It depends. How long or how far are you gonna make your players travel? No, hospital put y'all in a genjutsu. Yeah, it was kind of like a horror. It wasn't really a fully horror campaign. It was more of like a side story. Yeah, we got Silent Hill. It sounded really fun because it was. It's just that, you know, I could have been responsible for the death of 2 of my party members and the loss of sanity for everyone else. And I didn't want that. I didn't want that on my shoulder. So like I said, okay, next time please don't listen to whatever I say. I don't want to be the reason for all of our problems. But horror campaigns are really, really nice. I think it takes a while to get used to like DMing for something like that because it's a really complex situation that you have to handle. You have to like fit the atmosphere, you have to like fit the story with the theme, and I feel like it's harder to execute. Anyway, what happened to my sheep? My sheep! Okay. Alright, what happened to my sheepies? I like mysteries though. I like mysteries and horror, so there is that. Okay. So we go. Oh, I don't have space anymore. Let's go here. Why am I still on my eraser? I'm supposed to be on my... Oh, no, I don't want to erase. There we go. My players are changing their names on YouTube. Have a plan B if your plan didn't go well. I want to start DMing for my sibs and cousins. I just have to get them home. Yeah, that's... You really just need to like incite a spark in any potential player, any potential friend, so that you can invite them to play D&D, and if they like it, you know. If they like it, then you now have a permanent set of people to play with. Pacing must be a nightmare for her campaigns. Yeah, everything is meant to be tense. I can only imagine it might be stressful. Alright, so we look for the sheep. They venture deeper. So they venture deeper. They find a cave. There's more blood. Yeah, there we go. So there's more blood at the entrance of the cave. And the players will be able to tell that, oh, this is our destination. Hey guys, are you sure you still want to push through with this? There's a lot of blood there by the entrance of the cave. That sounds pretty ominous. That looks pretty ominous. Do you still want to go? We can really go back to the farmer and tell him that maybe the sheep wanted to look for where the grass is greener on the other side. Yeah, you definitely set up your red flags. Right? You set up your red flags for your players. But of course, there are some players that go like, no, we started this adventure, we're ending with an adventure. Right? So they find a cave and like, huh? What's in that cave? Why would they be dragging sheep towards that cave? Would it be a good idea to almost CPK them but have an important NPC save them? Ooh, that is a good question. And I feel like it's different for everyone else. And I think this is where it's very important to know what your your player expectations are, right? Sometimes players don't like Deus Ex Machinas. It's fun every now and then, but your players want to be able to get out of the situation by virtue of their own critical thinking and like their own actions and machinations, you know? So Deus Ex Machina isn't really a bad thing, especially if you really want to save your players. But sometimes players feel like it's a cheap trick to just move the story along, you know? Some players might be okay with it because they wouldn't want to die, but then there are some players that go like, oh wait, that's so lame. I want to be the cool one, not the NPC. What's Deus Ex Machina? Deus Ex Machina is a trope that a lot of stories end up using where something unexpected just really saves people. Yeah, it's an act of God that saves the entire party, something like that. Deus Ex Machina is hard to integrate, I think, because it requires, it requires to be done thoughtfully and in such a way that doesn't make it seem like it's a cheap trick to just get the plot rolling, you know? Personally speaking, if we as a party built a strong and hard-earned relationship with said NPC, I'd be fine with it as long as the spotlight isn't fully on them. Yeah, you shouldn't really make the game a spotlight on someone else. You still have to like, you know, make it seem like the players are really like supporting the story in one way or another, right? Because it's going to be a focus on them, and not really a focus on someone else that isn't really in their party. Kind of like that. Yeah, exactly. Deus Ex Machina is kind of like the power of friendship in shonen fights. You know how where it feels like it's almost impossible to beat this guy, this bad guy up, and then suddenly this strange thing that happens, like the power of friendship, plus flashbacks and shit, like shit like that. Might be useful to know spells the group can cast for the day, just to keep in mind in case they're like level 5 characters, water breathing. I would do the Deus Ex Machina on the start of the campaign. It depends how you're gonna implement it. I'd say if it's like something to push the story along, but at the same time something that your players won't feel bad about, because they would feel bad if you end up putting them in a spot where they're in a losing game. It might not be good for like first time players, I guess. Depends. Plot armor, yes. Heart of the cards, yes. You can implement Deus Ex Machina based on previous actions. Yeah. It has to make sense. It has to an extent, make sense, or it has to be something that you can explain afterwards without making it seem like, oh, I just really didn't want you guys to die as a DM, so I put this guy in, and then he's gone afterwards. Yeah. Right? So yeah, I guess if you put a purpose to it, there isn't really that bad of a deal when you do that. Deus Ex Machina is okay on the enemy, not on the player. Mostly, yeah, but not all the time. An example of this done right was the campaign with Bossu. The bracelet that the little girl gave reduces damage. Oh, because it's magically imbued. It's part of the plot talaga. I mean, they were worshippers of like a magical god. Suspension of disbelief check. Would you consider the classic JRPG trope of the party loses to the final boss mid-campaign as a Deus Ex Machina? I wouldn't say so. Mid-campaign. I wouldn't say so, I guess. I'm not sure. It's like a trump card, only you don't know. Yeah, only the DM. Yeah, hello, welcome to the stream. Also, Diana, hello, welcome. It's 7:13. Yeah, I've been talking for an hour? Crazy. Wait, I need to drink water. Bebe, hello, welcome. Yeah, Miriam, when do you start introducing the BBEG? Is it like snippets and clues at the start or plot twist at the end? I would never plot twist it. Like if you introduce some random character as a BBEG like nearing the end, then what was it? What was it that we were working towards, right? I would probably do that. That is a lamb. It is a sheep. Yeah, it is. It is. Right? I would introduce the big bad evil guy very early on, but not really like it's just probably gonna be like a cameo or something, or maybe it's just gonna be like maybe your adventurers will start hearing rumors about this guy who's evil and big and bad. But like they won't have to face this guy directly. They would just hear about them, and I think that's the power of rumors. Like they would help the adventurers think about potential enemies and potential people to avoid, you know. And I think that's like a thing that is a good way to introduce a BBEG. Like maybe they come across some other guy, maybe they played a hand at crossing blades with him at one point in time. Yeah, big bad evil can be a great yeah, anything can be. The big bad evil guy was us all along. In the end, we are the true monsters. Yeah. Goes to show how deep and excited you can be in a D&D session if you can keep talking for an hour straight. Honestly, the topic is really like all over the place. My sheep! Where are my sheep? A thing you do to the start is introduce the consequences of the BBEG's action, and by wanting to solve the consequences, they'd eventually cross paths. Yeah, to prepare for them. Like maybe they come across a town razed to the ground, burned because this big bad evil guy was so pissed at the villagers for not giving him mutton when the village never had any sheep to begin with. Or maybe you never solved the problem of returning the sheep, and now you're part of the backstory of the villain or something. You failed to bring the sheep back. There was this guy that wanted like lamb chops for dinner, and he didn't get his lamb chops, and he threw a bitch fit, and because he was so angry and he was so powerful, he burned the village to the ground. And yeah, as a result, you are the reason why he turned into a villain. Where's the lamb says? Yeah, what a petty BBEG. And then they find out, you were the ones that were responsible for not returning the sheep. Imagine it was a trap by the villager. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I just get really crazy ideas, but we're not going back to the topic of sheep yet. No. But yeah, the bad guys can usually be introduced early on. Very early on. Just so that your players get hints of it, so that they know what to expect, so that if they come to ever cross paths with them, they understand that, oh, this is that guy I've been hearing from since the start of my life as an adventurer. How scary, or something. Insurance scam lang pala yung sheep. Set up purpose scammy, but hey, no, there's a legit reason, you know? The farmer really just fell asleep. It's okay. The boss gonna be there. Alright, there is more blood. And inside that cave, right? Having really great ideas, but it doesn't fit the story. That's me. Usually I have a lot of notes. I actually have dedicated notebooks. I have dedicated notebooks dedicated to like D&D notes. And sometimes it's not even a notebook. Sometimes I just take whatever random notebook I get. I write my ideas down there, and then I hide that notebook, and then I forget that I actually wrote stuff about it. So I really forget. Sometimes I put notes on like a notepad or something, and it's really messy. Imagine meeting NPC version of Gordon. All right. Okay, next I think I'll continue this sheep issue. Let's fix the sheep issue, please. All right, so I'll erase this part of the thing. Okay, so I have new space here. Mira's notebook of ideas +2. You fail to understand the scribblings that are inside. It's too hard to decipher because she doesn't. Have you guys noticed that if I start writing, like for example, this is my notebook page, right? If I start writing, magsisimula ako dito, and then may arrow dito, and then mamaya may arrow papunta dito, and then pupunta dito yung sulat ko dito, and then maybe magsisingit ako ng something here, and then magsusulat ako sa side. Everywhere, my notes are everywhere. I don't follow like ganyan, like from left to right. I don't do it that way. It's everywhere on my notebook, and it's so hard to decipher when I come back to it. I can't even read my stupid handwriting. It's the flow. Yeah, I like you can see on my screen right now. You can see on my screen right now. I literally went from here to here, and then here and here, and then here, and then here. Like, it's everywhere. But DM's real problem is writer's block. That's true. Without objective morality, everything is permissible. Are we seeing what it's like inside Mira's notebook of ideas? Yeah, this is how messy it usually is. It's a mix of drawings, it's a mix of handwriting, and sometimes just like random doodles. Anyway, let me remove that. Alright, so yeah. For the continuation, more blood. What's in the cave? Okay, cool. Thank you. Alright, so they find more blood in the cave. The arrows help though. Yeah, but I don't know how I'm supposed to draw an arrow from here that goes to here. Alright, I guess I drew the arrow regardless. There we go. It's like that meme with the detective with strings on a corkboard. Exactly. That's what I'm doing right now. Alright, so we come from this part. Like, there's more blood. They find the cave there. There's more blood. And because they find blood, of course they're going to like go inside. It's like part of your DM skill set that you try to predict what a player might most likely do. Like, you kind of want to imagine, like, okay, if they don't go inside, they're probably just gonna go home. It's either one or the other, usually for simple plots like this. So you often assume that they will be going inside, and then you would prepare for that scenario, right? And when they go inside, they see this massive tunnel that leads deeper into the cave, and they notice that this cave actually leads downwards. Like, it's a downward slope. It's a very slow downward slope deeper into whatever structure this is, and they don't really find any light source within, so it's going to be really, really dark. It's going to be a hassle for them to investigate. So at some point you would expect that maybe there are some members of the party that don't have the ability to see in the dark because they're humans, and they chose to be humans in a fantasy game for some reason. Right? So players or characters rather without dark vision, they can't see in the dark. Because of that, they would have to. But may pag-atake. No, I'm sorry. All right, so like some characters don't have the benefit of being able to see in the dark. So because of that, you kind of want to hold on to the idea, and it's a good way. It's actually nice if players don't have dark vision or like the ability to see in the dark, because it helps you set up cool things in the background, right? So if they can't see in the dark, they're gonna go inside this tunnel pathway from the entrance to the cave. They're gonna descend deeper into this strange pathway, and they're gonna say like, oh, it's kind of dark here. I can't really see. Maybe we should like turn on some torches, right? Maybe we should light a torch or something. So they light the torch, and the moment that they are able to, I don't know how to draw fire. Let's pretend this is fire. Whee! Yeah, so they light a torch. Oh, let's put a face here. What happened to your body? Stinky fire. No, it's like the light radiates from it, right? It radiates. That's radiation. I mean, like, what's that? The glowy thing. Let's pretend this is fire me with every character I make. Stinky, no! I like your scribbles on. Thank you. Yeah, anyway, so this is one of your players, right? And this is his retinue of co-adventurers, right? Yeah, so that's them. Yes, the right, okay, so like they go inside this cave, and it's like this cave is really freaking dark. And the moment that they light up that torch, they see handwriting on the wall. It looks like it's been scrawled with what was that? Sheep blood. Right, okay? Like handwriting on the wall with Danganronpa blood colors, right? They see handwriting on the wall. Sometimes they might be able to understand it. Sometimes they don't, right? Did I miss epic lore? No, I'm just talking about sheep. What if you have players that have dark vision? Aside from those players that choose it so they could have it, some just got it unintentionally. Here's the fun thing, alright? And I think a lot of people tend to forget about this tiny little tidbit about being able to see in the dark. They won't be able to see colors, right? Okay, so they won't be able to see colors. They only see in grayscale, like shades of gray, right? That's part of the description of dark vision. Regular dark vision at the very least, right? So if they go inside this cave and they can actually see in the dark, they would see the handwriting, but they wouldn't be able to tell, right? They wouldn't be able to tell what ink was used on that wall. So it still offers like a little bit of a fright when they finally discover, like if they pass through there, you know. If they pass through there and they see that the handwriting on the wall is very, very fresh, it's like it's dripping. You see that maybe the liquid that they used as the ink hasn't dried up well enough, or maybe they use a lot of that liquid and it's like dripping at the sides. You know how when you see like paint, you write with paint, and then if it's very, very wet, it has a tendency to drip, right? Maybe the players would notice that. Maybe the players would notice that and zone in on it, look at it maybe, and probably light something up just so that they can identify the color. They can smell it though. That's also possible. But if you're going into a deep, dank, moist cave, there are probably a lot of other smells that you might smell as well. So at that point, you might actually have to like use a perception check, or investigate even further to determine if this is just maybe it's just a rusty, I don't know, not really rusty, but maybe there is like a myriad of smells down there that go from like musty, earthy to like metallic or whatever, and then they'd have to decipher if it's coming from like if it's coming from the wall, the handwriting, or maybe there's really something else. Yeah, basically like night vision goggles. You won't really be able to see color, but you will be able to notice those things. Fair enough, though you have to accept that dark vision characters would be able to detect a lot more things in dark areas. Yeah, so it all boils down to like being able to like understand if there are things that you want to keep hidden or actually would want them to see this, so that they're more engaged with like pushing through, with going through that deep dark corridor, or if they want to go home and tell the farmer, hey, I'm really scared. There seems to be some shit that's happening and I don't want to involve myself in it. I don't need the money. Good day, sir. So theoretically, you can just use paints with the same gamma value as the wall and would be invisible to dark visioners. Oh, that's so technical. I mean, I guess it could be possible. He's a very stinky bad guy. Myriad. Can I smell anything? Suddenly... Audios, oh my god. Those are scary monsters. They gotta bring hounds there. Nice to see another person with Dungeon Master experience. Yeah, well, I've only really been playing for like 2 years, 2.5, so it's not really like a lot of experience, but I guess it's fun talking about it at the very least. I mean, they out of here. Hey, if they decide to push through, if they decide to like want to go inside that cave even further, then that's where you pepper more of like the strange ritualistic stuff that you would really expect. Like, why would they be targeting sheep of all things? So instead of describing the writing directly as blood, it's better to describe through the senses so that they won't assume it's blood immediately. Yeah, well, to be fair, you could have adventurers that are very like hands-on with their investigation. I've met an adventurer, like that was my co-player. I've met an adventurer and they really lick things. They really lick things. I don't know why, but like it happened. I like the right. Yeah, exactly. Experience is still experience. I'm not complaining. I wonder if you're forever Yeah, I am. I rarely get to play nowadays. That's the thing. How much experience does it take before a newbie can stop being a newbie? It depends. But I think if you have the basic rules down pat, you're less of a newbie than everyone else who hasn't dabbled into the hobby, I guess. If 2 years is not enough experience, then what is enough experience? Well, it's a me thing. It's a me thing. Don't worry about it. Like, I feel like there are still a lot of things that I could learn, not just from reading through the source books, but also like if I were a player and I play under a different DM's table, then I'd be able to see how exactly they prepare their adventures, how exactly they DM on the fly, how they improv and stuff like that. And there's really like a lot of things to learn. Not necessarily just like the theoreticals, but even the practical stuff. So like it's it's like a long journey to feel like you're content with how you do things. And I feel like I still have a long way to go, personally speaking. But to consider yourself as not a newbie in the game anymore, I really think it really depends on how you perceive yourself. If like you're having fun and you don't really have to refer to like a lot of things anymore, or like have to ask so frequently, I feel like you've passed the boundary line of not being a newbie anymore. But don't be afraid to ask questions, because like even dungeon masters have to ask questions every now and then, because there's a lot of things to keep track of, and it doesn't really hurt to ask a question every now and then. Tastes like several days old blood. Yeah. High constitution people can lick things. Yeah. Dwarven stone cunning. To know the age of the rock by taste. Actually, that's a pretty nice use for that. First D&D character death, then the DM says, welcome to D&D. Mira, what if the players deduce things on their own instead of using the check when investigating? How much leeway do you give them? I would say if they were able to like come up with those ideas on their own, I wouldn't really hold their stats against them, because I'd like to I want to reward player creativity, because like sometimes as DMs we only really like give essential ideas and the players work around with that. Like, oh, the DM talked about this specific item in this room, and then there's an issue that happened in the other room. So what can I deduce from this? And it's kind of entertaining to see how a player would think, right? I kind of like it when their solutions are a little bit different from what I expected that they would do, but at the same time, it still solves the problem. So I wouldn't really complain about that. Feel like there's a difference between a newbie and casual. I've been playing for 4 years, haven't dungeon mastered past tier 1. I'm still a newbie, I guess. Well, it really depends. It's different from being a newbie in dungeon mastering. It's different from being a newbie as a player, I guess. How much dice sets do I own? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6. It's not a lot. It's not a lot of dice sets, honestly. I'm late, what's happening? Oh, I'm just talking about Dungeons and Dragons. Supposedly I'm supposed to be talking about this, like making an adventure, but here we are. Talking about everything else under the sun. So much to ask and learn. A D&D Q&A stream may be a great idea in the future. Yeah, I should do that. Sometimes players do things and the DM who was struggling with explaining it decides it's a good idea and they roll it. Yeah, sometimes. Okay. I have a confession to make as a DM. Sometimes I come up with a problem and I just let the players like figure it out. And if the players like come up with something really cool or really fun, I say like, wow, you solved it. This is exactly how it happened. And I play up their strengths. Like, you guys did a great job. And like I'm just like yeah, I probably wouldn't have been able to come up with that answer, but like, it's great. I don't have to think about it anymore. I have 6 dice sets to 1 metal set. Oh, metal sets? I've never owned them. I have custom dice and I have like resin dice and the regular chess X dice. So there's that. But I would want to get more dice sets in the future. Like maybe like gemstone dice. I saw gemstone dice on in an online shop before, but it comes from overseas, so I'm thinking maybe it's gonna be difficult for me to get my hands on them, but I will someday, just so that I have pretty dice at home. D&D Marshmallow, probably. 6 is not a lot if you're really like into collecting dice. I feel like that's the most that I have for my collection. If it's still a countable amount, then it's not enough yet. You're skilled in talking about everything else D&D, which is entertaining and educational. Thank you. Sometimes I should get my thoughts in order sometimes, so yeah. According to Keikaku. Hello, welcome! If their plot is a lot cooler than mine. Hey, sometimes I don't even think about the plot. I give them a problem. If it sounds like it's nice, I roll with it. I really just roll with it. There's a sliding scale between can my character figure this out or can I figure this out? Sometimes DM really struggle with this for players. Yeah, it's something that you learn through time and experience and, you know, just really playing with other people and learning how they think. And edible dice, yeah. Speaking of adventures, you got one adventure going on or planning one right now? I do have a world that I'm like working on. It's not fully polished yet, but some people have already been able to like quote unquote be playtesters to set the pretense or set the mood for future adventures. Like they were my guinea pigs. And they helped me decide what direction I wanted to take with the story in that world. Looking at your board, has any player ever derailed your campaign ever? Yeah, sometimes they come up with the most outrageous ideas. Like DM, I kind of want to go across the ocean to this different island because I heard that, you know, they have really cool things in this island. And like, huh? But there are a lot of cool things in my island as well. What do you mean? It's like, oh, I don't know. I was thinking maybe it could be a life-changing journey to venture from one area to another and probably make a new life there. I was like, huh? Why? What do you need to play Dungeons and Dragons? A willingness to learn and a dice set, I guess. Or, you know, just and a dungeon master and some friends. Usually I recommend that you play with friends first, because like at least it's gonna be comfortable for you guys. Trial by fire style testing the world, guinea pigs. Well, I didn't traumatize the guinea pigs. They had fun. They told me it was great. Yeah, they told me it was great, I think. Oh, speaking of which, I know the guinea pigs are like watching right now. and when I say guinea pigs, I mean it affectionately, okay? Speaking of that, I remember I put up a form. A feedback form. And truth be told, I haven't read it yet because I was like so scared. I was so scared of reading. I still have the link for it. I have the Excel sheet for the responses, but I haven't read it yet because I'm scared. Like I was hit with like crippling devastation and worry that I might not be able to handle what's written there. So I put it off for the longest time. I haven't read it yet. I will read it when I'm free. Or maybe I can read it on stream next time. Oh no, I know that you guys put effort into replying into it. Right? But I figured if I read it immediately after me running Dungeons and Dragons back that time, it would be harder for me to reflect on it. Yeah, I will read it. Just call the guinea pigs chaos potatoes. Players in any D&D game are usually like that. That's true. Say hello, guinea pigs. What's my fan base called? They're called Familia. We're one big happy family. Yeah, I will read it. I planned on reading it parang way after me hosting those community D&D games para hindi na fresh yung run sa akin, and I have like clarity of mind, but I don't think I have clarity of mind yet. I'm nervous now that I think about it. Your game sounds so cool. Is there like a chance I would be able to join? Is it like a friends group thing only? I mean, I think every time, I think it's going to be, I don't know, okay? Like, I don't know. This guinea pig wrote a friendly criticism. Oh my god, the criticism! No, I can't handle criticism properly. No, I'm kidding. I know. I'll read it when I have clarity of mind. Okay, ano yung sabi ko? I think me hosting like D&D games for the community is probably gonna be a thing every fan week at this point. I feel like it's gonna be a thing. Plus my rock, paper, scissors tournament. But like, yeah, I kind of plan on making it like a regular thing every time there's a fan week event in the fan server. So at some point there will be open games. It's just a matter of Staff Chan selecting players for me. Yeah. I'm the guinea pig that got one shot. Hey! You didn't die! Yeah, D&D fan games. The tournament. 5th edition scheduled to become a past edition in 2024. Wonder if you're planning on playtesting stuff. Probably going to experiment with it on my own. I'm not sure if I'm gonna run with it because I saw the new stuff, like the previews of the new stuff. I'm not sure if I'm really riding on it yet. It's still pretty fresh. There's a fan server. There is a fan server. I'm not in there though because it's only for the fans. It's not for the talents. But like, yeah, there is a fan server. I would definitely recommend that you guys go check it out. It is the Cometa official fan server at the very least. Yeah, that's where all of the fans really gather, chit chat, hang out. Yeah, thank you, Bosu. See, it's even Bosu that's like putting the link there. Okay, so it's discord.gg/Cometa fans. Yeah, you can hop in there. We're not really there, but like the unofficial but officially recognized by Cometa Corporation, right? Yeah. That's where we have the fan week events, so feel free to join in. Yeah, it's officially recognized by the actual yeah, it's officially official. Yeah. Miria, oh, please take care of yourself. Don't push yourself, especially if you guys are sick, okay? When you play Miria, you got like a favorite archetype and race to play? I play I think I play idiots most of the time. Whenever I play as a PC, as a character in any adventure, I always have a tendency to go for like the dumb idiot girl that apparently knows how to deal with things when times get rough, but in general though she's pretty clumsy and most of the time bad at dealing with life. Is idiot an archetype? I guess to an extent. Race? I used to like playing Aasimars a lot, but ever since they revised Aasimar in such a way that the nifty features from each subrace have been combined into just one, I'm not a fan of it anymore. So right now, I've been sticking to half elves. Because there's always like really nice story to be put if your parents aren't really like the same race or something, I guess. No thoughts head empty is always fun. Hey, to be fair, it kind of makes for like a really great blank slate, especially for long-term campaigns. So like if it's a long-term campaign and I start out as this ditzy girl with no direction in life, and suddenly something life-changing happens during the homebrew campaign and she's scarred forever or traumatized at some point and she has to pick which path she wants to take. Does she want to take the path of the hero or dwindle down into evil and be a villain? Well, yeah, that's fun, you know. I would never play a charisma character though, because I'm really bad at like socials, I guess. Didn't they get nerfed? Yeah, they did. That's why I don't want ASMRs anymore. I mean, you mean half elves? Or did you mean like the ASMRs? I try to play high charisma characters, but it's hard to play high charisma pag awkward ka IRL. Yeah, exactly. It's really difficult because like I, as a person, interacting with other people, no way. I can't do that. You can be charismatic and awkward, but like because there's this thing, right? If you're in a party and then the party knows that you have high charisma skill or like high charisma stats, and then they're gonna push you forward like, hey, you deal with this, you talk to them, and I'm gonna be like, I don't know how to talk to them. You guys have to help me decide what I'm supposed to say to them, and I'll just try to say it convincingly as possible. Yeah, it's kind of hard, especially if you're forced into these social situations. I should keep learning how to convincingly play high charisma. It's hard. It really is. That's why I prefer like I prefer either wisdom or intelligence-based characters. I play slightly damaged waifus of unusual race. Charm them with their awkwardness. You help me then for advantage. The party will ask you to do the persuasion checks, and it all boils down to you being able to persuade or deceive. And if it fails, then it's awkward, extremely awkward. But yeah, if you're really good at playing charisma characters, then go ahead. I say be my guest. I will be the one to push you forward to deal with the talks and stuff. One thing about charisma, I really hope you let intimidation use strength stat in your tables. It depends how they're intimidating them. If they're intimidating them by means of like using their mind and information that they don't know, then I would suggest that maybe it's a bit of like more of the charisma that intimidates them, right? Because they're offering up information that the other party doesn't know. So I would use that as like their natural charisma stat. But I guess if they're intimidating by way of like a threat or something, or if they're intimidating by way of like using their body as like that sounds weird. Like if they're intimidating just by virtue of like really showing the physicalness, the physicality of that, then I would give it a shot. Yeah. I still stand by the statement that mere refusing to play charismatic characters while simultaneously being an entertaining VTuber is the funniest example of irony. Okay, here's the thing about that. Like, if I am speaking to you guys, like right here, right now, as your favorite medic VTuber, I'm gonna be like, I know what I'm supposed to talk about because I'm not really like interacting with a different person right next to me. And I would just keep rambling on and talking on and on and on. And I think I sound fine. But if I were faced to have to like do a one-on-one talk with some other NPC, I'm gonna be like, hi. Yeah. I'm just gonna like do a thumbs up and look at my feet. I was like, yeah. And then I'm just gonna keep nodding and I'll never look at them. I never look at their eyes. I never maintain eye contact. And the moment that the conversation is done for, I will run away. Be like me, a high charisma goblin or tiefling. If they intimidate by threatening them, it's more charisma. But if they smash something, I'd say strength could be okay. Is D&D an instrument? Yung intimidation by literally looking down on them kasi matangkad ka. Yeah! People think I'm tall. Thanks. Intimidation isn't can this person beat you up. It's can I be convinced that this person could beat me up. To an extent, yeah, it's a mix. It's a mixed bag, honestly. Mira sounds different when she DMs. Oh, well, I've developed like using my voice, I guess, like as a narration tool. I figured that maybe I can make my games more engaging if I do a little bit of voice acting. It's not like a hard and fast rule that if you're a dungeon master you have to voice act, because people can just DM good enough or like really great without having to voice act at all. But like me, I tend to pepper it with a little bit of like voice acting only if they're like female characters. I can't do male characters. Have you ever played as an exotic or monstrous race before? I played the Kenku and the Yuan Ti and what's that fish thingy Lokatha. Yeah. Fish thingies are cute. Awesome initiative. I guess there could be my muddies are here and they're gonna beat you up moment to skirt the strength check. Yeah. Do you watch Critical Role? I used to watch it back then, but I haven't really kept up with the updated stuff. Like, I know they have a new campaign. I used to watch like the first and second campaign, but not the newest one. How is the Kenko RP? Squawk! I really just do bird sounds and I repeat everything that people say. It's kind of hard to RP, honestly, because like you only have a limited voice bank. But cats are fun. Yeah, I like them. They're fishies. How many voices can you do proudly? I can do the awkward, the awkward girl voice, the cutesy, kind-hearted lady voice, and like an angry, not really angry, but like a suspicious, evil, villainous kind of voice. Yeah. Me a squawk. You also do a mean boss impression. Yeah, I can do a boss impression. I can replicate how my boss speaks, but not really to the T, but you know. Yes, yeah, I love Lokatha. They're so cute. I'm just really a fish. Can you imagine? Some people would pay to be something else, and I can be a fish. I can be a fish in a D&D game, which is cool in and of itself, you know. Alright, what happens to our adventurers? They're still stuck investigating the handwriting, like, in the wall, on the wall. No. Okay. I'm a fish blub blub. Miss Boss impression is the best. Only if I have to, like, make an impression of him, or if I have to repeat something he told me. Alright. Oh, I'm still in the Danganronpa blood. Okay, so... as per usual, as with any of my discussions and games, I got real talking about other things, but it's fine. It was really fun. All right, so they see handwriting on the wall. Sometimes they can figure out what's there. Sometimes they don't know, and they don't know what's waiting for them at the very bottom of it, or at the end of the road, right? So they could either investigate that, they could either be good at reading that or no, but they're faced with another choice. Do they go home or do they continue? And when they decide to push through, you make them reach an endpoint. you make them reach the endpoint of the cave, right? It could be like a really long cave, and at the end is like an opening, or maybe you can make a fork in the road, you know? I play Loxodon and Lizard Folk. Interesting, odd interactions. Yeah. You go this way, I go home. Right? Okay, so... Alright, so at some point, it's either they get the fork in the road treatment, fork, or they reach the dead end. Right? So this forces them to make a decision. Do they split the party or do they not? Or they see the end goal if they reach the dead end. Okay. The one who killed the sheep was the black sheep. The end question: how much time do you spend planning each of your sessions? How much of it is improv and like how much is written down? Balance is really hard. Are there any fairy races? I've only ever played as a fairy, but not really any of the other like races though. Okay, back to that. How much time I spend planning? Maybe a week or something. Because I used to run weekly D&D sessions for homebrew. And we'd always play like on a weekday night. And it gives me enough time to prep after like one session. Maybe it's like, for example, on a Tuesday. Yeah, so it's on a Tuesday. Sometimes I have fun preparing. Sometimes I just come up with random shit that's related to the plot. But other than that, something around like maybe, if I were to be honest about it, I do have like a week's worth of preparing, but I only really ever use like maybe 1 or 2 days from that week to think about what I want to do for the next session. And technically, since I make my own maps, it usually like that's the one that usually takes the most of my time. Other than that, the notes and stuff are really just like things that I can doodle or things that I can draw or things that I can write whenever I have free time. So I would say it's a cumulative maybe 1 to 2 days, spread apart through an entire week. Do I use Incarnate? I use Dungeon Draft for map making. And a self-respecting dungeon master procrastinates until the last day. Not gonna lie though, I procrastinated before. It was okay. It was very improv heavy. Is it still recommended to ban an Arakocra? Why? Why though? I mean, I know some people don't like level 1 flight. I'm perfectly okay with it as long as like the race actually exists in the world they kind of want to play in, and it's okay with the DM, and you know, if they're okay with it, you know, it really just boils down to finding a DM that's okay with it, and maybe they know how to like deal with stories related to that race. They got nerfed on speed in Monsters of the Multiverse. Honestly, ever since I heard about the Asimars getting nerfed in MOM, I kind of didn't read it anymore. I'm not a DM, but for some reason I really want to make maps. It's really fun. It's really fun envisioning what a room would look like from the top-down perspective. And it's really fun to like draw random stuff like a berry bush, and you just put berries there, or like maybe like a plate of food from the top-down. Top-down view is actually really fun. I can't really do it as well, so I have to rely on other programs. But drawing them is kind of therapeutic, I feel. Can I play as a VTuber in D&D? I mean, you can be anything in D&D as long as the DM allows it, or like if it's possible in that world, I guess. I don't know how you're gonna recreate a VTuber in D&D though, especially if the timeline doesn't permit like digital worlds and stuff. I had someone play Rick Astley in my table. Ah, you mean like just like as a character? Yeah, you can. I've seen I've seen some players play like a recreation of their favorite VTubers in a D&D campaign, or like in a D&D game. So it is possible, especially like a map of an entire country drawing that kind of map. Yeah, I think it's a really nice creative exercise, Sai. Like something to wind down maybe if you don't really have to be serious about it, but it's something to do. It's something nice to do, I think. I guess that's why I find myself drawing random doodles like this, but it never really leads to like finished art or whatever. Monsters of Multiverse bugbears are fun since it can fit in small spaces. I want to play as a dumb ice fairy. VTuber campaign idea. I suggest RPG map maker if you want more pixely type encounter maps. No, they're destined to be a VTuber without knowing what it is. Alright. Okay, wait. I need to erase more parts of this part. Or maybe I should just make a new layer. What am I doing? And then you wonder why players check out the random miscellaneous details on your map. It'd be a shame if we don't examine it, right? Yeah, that's true. I really like making detailed maps. I guess you would be able to see like an example of a map I made before in preparation for a game. Or actually, I can maybe show it here. I'm not sure. Save the sheep art. The scribbled people are dead. Maybe once I actually get experience as a player, I can DM for my other friends. I would recommend it. Just a matter of finding people to play with and having a DM. Because like it's hard to start out being a DM if you don't know what it's like being a player, I guess. Personally, I endeavored to be a player first. Maybe it took like maybe 6 to 8 months before I started dabbling into being a dungeon master, because I wanted to try my hand at it. But first I wanted to be a player because I kind of wanted to figure out what players find out. I kind of wanted to feel what players found fun when it comes to D&D, because if I don't know what their idea of fun is, or if I don't know how fun it is to be a player, how am I supposed to DM them in a fun way? Kind of like that, yeah. The sheep art is there. Yeah, I will not destroy the sheep art. Some DMs make map in random shapes and the player party zooms in on the accidental wiener-shaped island. Lots of D&Ders in the Philippines. Theme is hard. I still have the DM curse. Thing is, the experience of player, while helpful, it isn't impossible to do. I had to do it because the rest of my players were also first-timers. I'm not saying it's impossible to DM without being a player first, but I definitely say that it's a nice experience at the very least. Because there's definitely a lot more work. There's definitely a lot more work involved in being a DM compared to being a player. Like, you just come into the game with your character sheet, a set of dice, and the willingness to be a different character for like maybe 2 or 3 hours. But as a DM, you like jam pack it with so much preparations and work and reading like an adventure guide if it's like a module, or like making your own adventure, and it's like a lot of prep time. So it's really not for everyone, especially not at the start. But of course there are some people that end up being like dungeon masters out of like circumstance, because like, oh hey, I have a group of friends who wants to like play Dungeons and Dragons, I'm not gonna let this opportunity pass up, I want to be a player too. But then you realize that everyone else doesn't feel like being a DM for you guys, so like you take the helm, you suck it up and go like, you know what, D&D isn't gonna happen if no one starts it out, so I guess I'll be the DM for now. And that's usually how it happens, you know. It takes a lot of effort, honestly speaking, and it's very daunting, especially if like you're not particularly sure how you're supposed to start out. That's the difficult part, because like you might feel like you're making a lot of mistakes, you might feel like, oh, maybe I did something wrong, or maybe this is a missed call, and it kind of eats at you, you know. It kind of takes, so it taps away at your confidence. But if you're with people you trust and they're okay with you making mistakes and you guys are learning on the go, I'd say that's a really nice experience on its own. Most of them are already experienced, so yeah. Well then, if you're playing with experienced players, or for example if you're playing with me, then I would be more than happy, right, to like just help you guys out. And I think my players can attest to that. Like, I've been very, very nice to them with helping them out, figuring things out on their own. If they have questions, I always give it to them, you know. So it's nice if you have a nice warm environment that really nurtures you and really makes you feel welcome in the space, because it's really kind of, you know, sucky if you get shunned and, you know, like being told off like you should do more research or something, or like if you really want to get into the hobby you have to study or something, or like do it yourself. And it's not the welcoming experience that I would want. It's quote unquote not welcoming at all, you know. Me, forever DM since the start with my friends at least. Everyone wants to be a player. Yeah, I want to try this. Sir Weed Bread, hello, welcome. It's very hard but rewarding, that's true. Yes, I am very beginner friendly. I can confirm Mira helped us a lot. She's nice until it's time to play. Wow, rude. It's not my fault that people were hit with really high damage. It's the dice. And you guys know that I show my hand all the time. I'm not hiding anything. Can I be a princess in D&D, Sir Weed Bread? You can be anything you want. It's the dice that did it, yeah. Best ways to learn about D&D is this VTuber. Aw, thank you. Honestly, I hate imposing rules, Lara, insisting that they're always correct. It's nice if everyone could be nice. I'm a pharmacist, that's true also. The only time I try to be a DM is when I teach new people about D&D. You know, it's cause like at the end of the day, Dungeons and Dragons is a very niche hobby. Like, I know a lot of people are playing it now, but that's only because I'm aware that exists, right? But in general, it's not like a massively popular thing like other games, like other video games. So it's still on its own like a pretty niche hobby to start at. So it's always nice to like bring in more people to experience it. It's always nice to get in on it and like have like friends to play with you, because at least the community grows and stuff. I've been scared to even try looking for places where I can play since the DM that got me into D&D was busted as a predator. Oh my god, I'm so sorry to hear that. That sounds really horrible, and I'm sorry that's something you experienced in the community. But hopefully, if you ever decide to start looking for games again, it's not like that anymore. Really sorry about that. Can confirm, experience with friendly players to start with feels so good. Yeah, and you just really have to find people who vibe with you, you know? The biggest problem that any D&D player and DM faces is schedule. Yeah, scheduling is an overwhelming commitment. It's really hard to find people who want to sit down with you for 2 to 3 hours every week. Like, every once a week, you know? So that's the difficult part, I guess. Yeah. Scheduling is always the biggest issue to deal with. And I feel like that's also partly why some of my campaigns fell through, because a lot of people couldn't commit to it. Like I think it was because of the pandemic that I was able to run a lot of D&D games back then. But ever since things started going face-to-face, people gradually like lost time, or maybe they started getting busy with work stuff, real life, and I understand. So that eventually led to the dissolution of some campaigns. It never really got brought up again, but it's okay. Sometimes stories don't get to end, sometimes they do, and you just gotta deal with it. How long do campaigns usually last? It depends. Like maybe you have like a short campaign. Maybe 6, 7, 8, 9 sessions. It doesn't have to be that long. But then there are some campaigns that take maybe like months to even years to finish. Like the longest campaign that I've been in was like 2 years. It was a 2-year campaign. And it's still ongoing technically. It's just that I was the one that had to drop out because I was so busy. But yeah, it depends. If you're really enjoying with like your friends, or like you have a really overarching storyline that you want to eventually end up completing, it can take a really, really long amount of time to finish it. Sometimes wala lang talagang closure. This guinea pig was guilty about the scheduling part. Oh, it's okay. Real life, why must you take away our fantasy adventure? I know. I'm very lucky despite scheduling problems to have a campaign running for 2 years. Yeah, sometimes there are also adventures that could be a standalone adventure. Like, you know, a one-shot. Like, you have an entire story that's ready for like a single sitting, a single play session. Which is like roughly around 2, 3, 4 hours. Yeah. But each one-shot is actually interconnected. That's what I did for players during fan meet. Like, I prepared 2 adventures and they were really interconnected. D&D is nice, it's free therapy for you, at least as your player, as your character. My Fandelver campaign ended without it finishing again. Oh, they're there. How was my first time playing D&D? Really fun. I was so confused. I have no idea what this does, but like I was rolling with it because it was pretty funny. I saw people die. Oh, my first ever D&D game, like someone died. I shouldn't be laughing at that. Oh my god. That kind of sounds like it should be a sobering moment, but here I am. It was funny though. They died because they rolled a really bad dice roll for death saving throws. So, yeah. There's a world record on the longest D&D campaign, which is still running to this day. No, not die IRL! No! In-game! I heard 34 hours. It's never just 3 to 4 hours though, let's be honest. Yeah, I know. I advertised my games before as like, oh, we'll just take 4 to 5 hours. But eventually we end like at like, we ended the game at like 3 a.m. We started at 8. Someone died. No, okay, it was in-game. It was really unlucky. They got mauled by an orc and they were bleeding to death, right? And like, they were bleeding to death and we tried helping them, but we were all, you know, under-leveled. We didn't have heals anymore. We were really spent. And he was rolling the dice to save his life. He rolled really badly. He rolled like an 8 on the first one, and the next turn that he had to roll, it was a natural one. So that's automatically like 3 failed death saves. And he just perished. The guy doing the campaign for 6 years IRL died, then that's definitely weird. When you dropped out of the campaign, did you end it by having your character die, or you dropped out of it like, okay guys, you can continue, my character doesn't exist anymore? Huh. For my campaign, for that campaign that I dropped out of, it was more of like, I had to tell the DM that it's starting to get busy for me and it's harder for me to commit. And they were really sad about it. Like even my co-players were sad about it because, you know, we've spent like a long time together, spending our weekdays together and stuff. So it was a really difficult decision to make. Some dungeon masters will ask if they can keep your character in the game. But instead of like you controlling it, they're probably gonna make them retire so that nothing bad happens to them that isn't like part of your plan for them as a character. Some dungeon masters can do like, oh, they erase or they retire or they die at some point. But some DMs, they go for the oh, it's okay, you can go, but at this point it means you're relinquishing your character to me, and anything that happens to them is going to be part of the story at this point. It's different for every DM, I guess. Personally, I have no idea what happened to my character anymore. I should probably ask my DM for an update about it, but I kind of highly feel like maybe he just killed my character off. I don't know. I mean, they wouldn't do that maybe, but considering how high stakes the situation was when I left, I'm pretty sure there might have been an incident that maybe my character was already dead at some point. Yeah, it really depends. You can talk it out. Maybe you can also have like a really nice exit. I've seen some DMs coordinate with the player that's going to leave the campaign, and they're gonna talk about a nice event to hold during the session, so that you leaving as a player has an impact on the story as well. Like something orchestrated by the DM and you in preparation. Like, oh DM, I'm gonna have to leave the campaign now, but I kind of don't want to just disappear on them, you know. So I kind of want something cool or maybe something bad to happen to my character so that it fits with the story. And then they come up with like with some sort of scenario that incorporates your character into that story, and then you can exit peacefully. Maybe they just die, or maybe they just get captured at some point, and then you know, it's a lot of things that they can do. As someone from Southeast Asia, the search for the game led me to a game where it starts at midnight, but that was years ago. Now I take matters into my own hands and I DM. It's nice if the DM gives the leaving player a send-off. Yeah, it's a send-off. It's a send-off. I just personally find that it's very important that you let people know that you won't be able to join in again, and instead of ghosting them or something. So basically, your character turned into an NPC that the DM can do whatever they want. In my case, yeah. In my case, that's what happened as the agreement. Like, I didn't mind. Maybe at least my character still gets a story. But as long as you talk with your DM and you tell them what you want for your character, then you can just opt for them to have a send-off, or maybe they just really retire. It's a conversation that you have with them, no, so that you're okay with how it goes afterwards. Finally made it to the live stream for the first. Good evening. How often do you employ actual dungeons in your games? Not a lot. There aren't really a lot of dungeons in my Dungeons and Dragons game. It's usually more like overworld exploration than anything. I want to be an NPC in your future campaigns. Usually when the characters leave, I have them retire and turn into a DMPC if they want to come back out and play. Yeah, it really is a mixed bag. It depends on what your talk was with your DM. One of my players really requested to die in front of the party as a send-off. Well, that sounds crazy. And cool, but also crazy. Are there usually dragons in campaigns? Well, yeah, they're pretty common in campaigns at the very least. Hi, welcome. Yeah, mine was like taverns and cultists. The previous games that I ran, like taverns and cultists. I don't really employ a lot of dungeons, I think. A lot of dragons, I guess, but everything else not really. Really depends. Like some DMs pride themselves in being able to make like a lot of puzzles workable for their players, but I personally am not good at puzzles, so I don't make my players suffer puzzles as well. Cultists are really nice as an element, and I think that's where I was going for with this, right? I was going for a cult thing here, right? So they have sheep. They find the sheep. Like, there are sheep on the wall, and the ears are here. Yeah, sheep, like kind of gutted here. And like they're bleeding out with knives and stuff. Like they're nailed to the wall and then they're bleeding and stuff. And stuff. And then like you know, they find them on the wall, and that there's this crazy person in the middle of all of that, bathed in the blood of sheep, and you see the internal organs of the sheep displayed as various accessories that hide his like skin. So you can see like his intestines, the sheep intestines are wrapped around his neck and acting like a necklace and a belt and bracelets and anklets and stuff. And then like everything else is like you can see the liver. I'm just coming up with random share at this point though. Calm down. Can I pay IRL money for a reroll? I'm not sure. I don't think so. In general, not really. I love crazy cultists. You just don't have to go in depth with their morality just to justify why they're evil. Had an Orcus cult. Nice. 2 were gutted. Only 5 remain. No. All of the sheeps are there. Sheep. Flock of sheep. 6. There we go. Why go for puzzles when we can have love life drama and hot single moms? I hope you can make your own enemies. In the master manual, there's a guide. Yeah. Classic D&D, gruesome description to hook the party. Charity games do that. I think there are some paid D&D games, like events, that let you use like... They make you pay towards a charity, and how much you donate can be translated into a free reroll. That happens, right? Random encounter but sheep. Okay, so the sheep that were missing at the very start of this adventure, they found at the caves. They went deep inside. They couldn't read the handwriting, and then they find this crazed man in the middle of that room in the cave with all of the sheep nailed towards like the wall of that cave. Their middles are like split open. All of their internal organs have been removed, and like the stomach, the spleen, the liver, they have been organized in a circle right in the middle of it, right? And there are writings. There are scrawlings and writings with blood of the sheep, and this guy is just wearing the intestines as clothes, right? So this guy has been collecting sheep internal organs to do something nefarious at the end of things. Party IRL fawns over the tavern girl. I'll call this cultist haggis man now. The details are so vivid. That's one thing that I noticed my players told me. I can be kinda gruesome. I can be kinda gruesome. Apparently, when I talk and describe about things. So, okay. What genre would you consider your favorite in running games? I personally prefer grimdark settings like Curse of Strahd. I personally like nitty-gritty adventures more, where decisions matter. I know I talk about like, wanting to make your adventurers your players' heroes, but I've always preferred like being in an adventure that's like total tragedy. I don't know why. Does he notice us? Yeah, he notices you, and then he brings out all of the hearts of the 7 sheep and then throws them at the middle of the internal organ circle, and then he lights a match and throws a lot of blood onto it, and for some reason the blood is like flammable, and all of those internal organs begin burning, and through the smoke of burning skin and tissue, you suddenly see a figure in the middle of that cave manifest. The crazed man is my uncle cooking papaitan. I'm eating atay right now. We love to see it. We love the gruesomeness. I like playing total tragic. Yeah, tragic stories are kind of things that I enjoy. I like being miserable in D&D, I guess. Yeah, they're summoning something. I went out and came back to sheep entrails. Yeah, I know. Okay, I'm kind of bad with descriptions myself. Any tips on that? I have a tendency to repeat things that I always say though. Like, you know how Matthew Mercer usually says like, the monster's toothy maw, and then he says that all the time when he's describing like a monster and their jaws and their teeth, right? I'm a victim of repeating things I always say just to make a point or to emphasize. Yeah. To get better at describing things though, it's kind of like you kind of have. I'm not saying you have to live that experience, right? Don't go out and gut some sheep just to know what it feels like to have intestines like draped over your body or something. Don't do that. I guess the next best thing is to probably like read books and check out how they describe things. Maybe play under other DMs and see how they describe things and stuff. I think trying to visualize it helps describe things. Yeah, and sometimes it just really takes a lot of practice and experience. Gotta start reading them books. I haven't read a book in the longest time though, but there's that too. Substitute longanisa for intestines. It's different. It's difficult to find different ways to describe the same thing though. Like, what are you supposed to do? Play with a thesaurus? I think you should just be given a pass. That's true. You don't have to be overly descriptive. Like, maybe if you can just set the scene, it's already enough. It's already enough that way. Think of the senses: sight, smell, touch, and sound to get you into the zone. Yeah, that's actually true. Like, you don't have to always just describe it visually. Like, as this man brings out what seems to be a foul-smelling liquid from a bucket that you see at the corner of the cavern room, he sloshes it onto the floor with all of the entrails scattered about, and he brings out what seems to be a very aged torch. The wood you can smell from a distance as the cave sounds like it's okay. I'm out of it. I that's the most that I can get from like improving really fast, and then I get lost, and then I say torch into the liquid, and then it starts burning, and that's it. That's it. That's it. I'm not really as good at descriptions yet. But I start with something really cool. I noticed that I start with something really cool and then it starts getting boring at some point. Or like it starts being mundane at some point. It's like splat, sound effects, pshoo, and then boom, there's a demon in front of you. Yeah. But definitely work on the senses if you really want to start describing things. Do you think DMing and freestyle rapping can have overlapping skill sets? Kinda, yeah. The man took a chip and then he ate it. Writing things down and trying to describe it in writing makes it better. The heart hits the mossy stone and the with the wet moist splat. Yeah. Thanks for the tips. I usually just say what objects there are, which feels pretty clunky. Definitely recommending to play with the senses that players would usually have. Like it's usually always vision, it's hearing, and it's smell. Sometimes it's touch, only if they touch it, you know. But yeah. I get that reference. If you want to describe important details, I think it's better to write the description instead so it's as detailed as possible. That comes with like planning as a DM, I guess. There's vomit on it. Yeah. It's like how you write a fanfic. Oh no, am I being outed as a fanfic writer? Oh dear. Alright, yeah. So at the end of the day, the players will have to fight this crazed man and his summoned demon, or they die trying and they never get like the 10 gold that the farmhand offered. And the farmhand is only going to think, huh, I wonder where my sheep went. I mean, if the adventurers never came back, then maybe I can just use this 10 gold to reward them to buy new sheep. Happily ever after. Happily ever after. It's either they live to tell the tale or they die trying. Basically, that's how D&D... No, I'm kidding. That's not how D&D works. But yeah. Yeah, that's... Yeah, that's basically it, I guess. So yeah, I feel like I find myself thinking of alternate endings or alternate routes for these things. Because there are so many things that could happen. Maybe they end up killing the demon, but the crazy man manages to get away and haunts a different village or something, and that leads a path to a different adventure. Or maybe they kill both and then they're happy. They get 10 gold for the price of their sanity, and maybe, you know, having to take a bath because they're stinky, full of like dead bodies and shit, you know. Or maybe they all die, and like the scenario I explained earlier, the farmhand just decides to use the 10 gold and just buys new sheep, and then it's as if nothing ever happened. It's as if nothing ever happened, basically. That's it. So he's the crazy man. No. 10 gold for my sanity. I know. Sometimes the real adventure is the friends we make along the way. I got 10 gold! Speaking of die trying, have you ever had a TPK? Oh, definitely. I had one before. They weren't playing well, and as a sanity's cheap. Okay, here's the thing, right? There are some dungeon masters that usually hide their roles, right? But me, I like being open about things para so that the blame doesn't lie entirely on me. Like, I know I'm the one that rolled the dice, but it's the dice that decides what number that appears. And if it was like a crit on their attack, then that's the dice's fault, not mine. Ryan Versolfidem, hello. Thank you so much for the super chat. How do you choose monsters for a certain campaign or terrain? The roper still haunts me in my dreams. I usually match them to the environment. I try to not put like a lot of weird things in one place, especially if it doesn't make sense. Like I wouldn't put something lava related in a snowy place, I guess, unless there's a valid reason for them to be there. So like that roper that you guys saw in that one adventure, they're cave creatures. They look like stalactites and stalagmites, and those things exist in caves. So yeah. How many TPKs have you done as a DM? Just one. I will remember that moment vividly because they really tried, but they weren't trying. I told them that, hey guys, if you guys keep doing this, I'm showing you my hand, okay? I'm showing you what you guys need to know, and like I'm open about my dice rolls, and you know that because like some of my players before are watching this, right? You guys know that I always show my hand. I always show my dice roll, so like you would know that this is what you're up against, right? They see where they're going. They see it was pretty much their fault though. I would it's not that I'm washing my hands of that sin that I TPK'd them, but it was really because of a bunch of bad decisions, a bunch of bad dice rolls, and generally they lacked information that would have been vital to their survival. Oh yeah, the Roper has AC 19, I think. Meanwhile, in Minecraft, Snowy Volcano sounds interesting. Yeah, it's not like I was actively going against them when the TPK happened, right? I didn't torment them over it. Like, it wasn't my intention to actually kill them. Because, like, whenever I play, it's not really a DM versus players kind of thing. And I think that's, like, one of the most common misconceptions a lot of people have. Like, oh, players tayo, kalaban natin yung DM natin. It's really not like that. What really happens is, like, the DM weaves a story together with the players, is not for the players, because the DM also has to be enjoying things. And I personally feel like the enjoyment of being a player is being cool as your character, and the enjoyment of a DM is being able to see their players like enjoy something that they created and solve puzzles and problems. Like, it's a different kind of enjoyment entirely, but it works hand in hand into making a really, really fun story. So like, I really did everything that I could to make sure that they were prepared. I didn't hide anything intentionally from them other than what I needed to hide, and they had the means to do everything to survive. It's just that it wasn't enough, and they really picked a lot of bad decisions along the way. So not that I'm washing my hands of this sin of TPKing them, but you know, they really had it coming. Since I've run a Grimdark campaign, I've gotten a lot of TPKs. That makes sense though. High intensity combats are fun. Ropers are AC 20. Okay, they're AC 20. Thank you. Hi there, I'm a fiction writer for years. I try DMing and find my players are metagaming more than anything. How do I fix that? Or how do I nudge them away from that? That's actually like really difficult though. Because I think it's more of like, I know that there are some dungeon masters that have a tendency to like punish their players in game. And I feel like that's not the best way to go about it. Like, if there is a problem that you're seeing on your table, you take it out of the game and you talk to them like face to face. Like, hey guys, I noticed that there are some information that you're bringing out during the game that doesn't sound like something your character would know. And part of the enjoyment of playing Dungeons and Dragons is being able to set aside knowledge that you know as a player and use the knowledge you know as a character. So I'm kind of upset that you are metagaming, but is there anything that I can do to make you stop doing that? Or you just really bring out the problem from the get-go, like, hey, I noticed that you're metagaming. Is it okay if we don't do that, because it kind of takes away the excitement of actually playing the game and stuff like that? Because it is, a lot of people really don't like metagaming because it really ruins the experience, you know. It kind of makes people feel bad. So at that point, it really has to like it really has to be talking to them. You won't really be able to get far if you don't talk to them, you know? Like, you don't have to what's that? Force them to stop it. You just really have to mention it at some point, right? I find that homebrew campaigns with custom rule sets are nice for beginners because it's like yeah, because it's what do you call that? Because it's a little bit more beginner friendly, I guess. But sometimes you can use modules as well. Imagine your mom being an experienced DM tells you there's a lot of dishes in the sink. What will my son do? It's really just like a matter of communicating with your players, because sometimes they can easily be like you know, sometimes there are really some players that can understand why a DM would say, oh, okay, maybe they don't even intentionally mean to metagame. Maybe it's just really something that they know and they manage to apply. But I guess you really have to like set expectations with your players, you know? You set expectations with your players that these are things that are like non-negotiables on your table. And if not, then either they can adjust or you adjust, or, you know, a game doesn't happen. And personally, like, what I do is that my belief is that I personally would rather not play D&D than play a bad D&D game. Most players tend to do dumb decisions because usually those are the most interesting. Yeah, that's true. That's true too. And if it's true to their character, I don't really blame them for it. But yeah, it really boils down to expectation setting and dealing with things at session 0. Like, if you set expectations early on, then you run lower risk of getting too stressed when something doesn't go your way. And I find that it really takes a lot of like practice to really get to a point where you're more comfortable when your players start doing silly things during the game. Yeah. Session zeros are really, really important. Right? Because that's like talking outside of being your characters. And it really helps you get to know the people you're playing with, especially if you're playing with strangers, you know? I feel like if someone with an MMO brain got deep into D&D, they end up metagaming unintentionally, or at least they take it as a natural thing to do. Yeah, some people have a tendency to think that it's not really a wrong thing. And it's up to you as a DM, I guess, to let them know that you're not comfortable with it. How long does a session usually last? Sometimes people will tell you maybe 2 to 3 hours, but then it extends. It really depends on how long. But sometimes some DMs are better at managing their time. Some people are like me, who end up extending for a prolonged period of time. Yeah. What is a TPK? What is metagaming? What are session zeros? Why am I here? Is it just to suffer? Yeah. So my advice, I guess, is really to talk to them. It's okay. It's difficult, right? Talking to people is difficult because, like, I personally don't like confrontation, but as long as you're saying it in a nice way, and hopefully they're also receptive. As long as they're like receptive to the idea, then you find a middle ground. And then when you find like that middle ground, then you can go back to enjoying things. It's okay though. I hope that it's like something that, you know, you eventually get to practice after a while. But yeah, again, what I said is, if it's a bad D&D game, it's better to not play it than actually sit through it and just, you know, suffer. Because like it's really a commitment of time, and if you find that you're not really enjoying it, why waste your time doing it, right? Just find new people to play with who understand what you like, you know. Metagaming is like updating your stats, right? No. Metagaming is metagaming is when your character knows something that they shouldn't, right? Okay, so here's an example. Here is a very basic example that I can use. If my players are going on an adventure and they're fighting this monster, and I tell them, oh, you guys see this really ugly creature trying to take a swing at you, and apparently I say that, oh, this monster is a troll, right? Okay, like, this monster is a troll. And normally, if you're like, for example, if you're new to the game, you wouldn't know a very critical thing about trolls, right? A troll out of character is something that regenerates hit points or health every turn or every round, right? But the players wouldn't know that. I would describe it as, you manage to damage this monster, but for some reason, every time you take a slash at it with your sword, you notice that its wounds seem to start regenerating. That's how I would describe it in game. And what's really happening is that trolls actually have regeneration. So every single time that they take damage, they will regenerate the next turn that they get. But to stop this regeneration, they have to take acid or fire damage. And they will not regenerate the next turn. And the funny thing about trolls is that when you quote unquote kill them, when you make them reach 0 hit points, it can still regenerate unless you hit it with fire. Then it will die permanently. And a lot of new players don't know that. Okay, I will ask the troll to stop regenerating. Okay, so a lot of new players wouldn't know that. Or like, for example, a player might know that if they've encountered trolls before in a different game or maybe with a different character, but you are role-playing as this one character. You're playing as this really new adventurer that hasn't faced trolls before. So naturally, you wouldn't know that you need to hit it with fire to kill it. But metagaming in that respect is, oh, I know that trolls are vulnerable. Or not really vulnerable. I know trolls are not going to be able to regenerate and they can die if I use fire. So heck yeah, I'll just use fire right now. Like, sometimes it can be an honest thing, right? But if you deliberately, like, showcase that you, like, use a different kind of knowledge. Like, maybe sometimes DMs can ask you, oh, that's great. How did you know that? And then you say that, oh, I know that because I fought trolls before in a different game. Then that's technically metagaming, right? But if it was a natural attempt at doing things, like maybe at some point you discover that, or maybe your default attack was like fire damage, then it's not really that bad, you know? Trolls being weak to fire is pretty common knowledge though, unless you play a really brand new adventure. This is just an example, you know? So sometimes, like, you can pretty much make your players do a knowledge check, like, hey, maybe you know that this person is this monster is weak to a certain thing. It's not always a hard requirement, no? And yeah, if it's like a wizard that always uses firebolt, it's not that big of an it's not really them metagaming, is what they normally do. But if you were, yeah, exactly. If you were going to do something out of character for the sake of convenience, that's metagaming. It's not really removing roleplay. It's like using knowledge that your character would not know because you know it as a player. That's basically it. Right? If I know from a different game that Nightwalkers can pretty much annihilate anyone with a finger of death, or was it a finger of death, or like an annihilating aura, I wouldn't go near it. If I were metagaming, it's like, oh, I know this thing can do that, so I'm not going there anymore. But if it were natural, like, I'm scared of it, I wouldn't go near it, something like that. It depends. It really depends. Min-maxing, on the other hand, is like making sure that your character is built in such a way that maximizes their capabilities while minimizing the rest of the things that they won't need. And I personally don't really like bother myself too much with players who min-max. Like, I'm personally okay with players who min-max. Like, min-maxers are so welcome on my table because that just gives me an excuse to be even more of like a bloodthirsty DM than I normally am. What if my character is an arsonist? Then it's not really that big of a deal. Yeah, for example, the disowned noble playboy who has never fought anything in their life would probably not know about trolls and their weaknesses. And if for some reason they decide to use fire for the sake of convenience, even in an out-of-character standpoint, then that's metagaming. But yeah, personally, I'm okay with min-maxing. Like, troll playboy might know about trolls if he has special tastes. I personally am okay with min-maxing. In fact, I even sometimes invite players to min-max and see if they can actually beat shit on my table. Because honestly, I really like high-intensity combat as well when it comes to like D&D. I like throwing things at my players that I know they can beat, but it's gonna be a really difficult time for them. Because I just want to see how they, like, you know, manage things, right? Most of the time, min-maxing isn't a bad thing, but then again, you have a min-maxer who religiously done it, then we have a problem. It depends. Different strokes for different folks. Personally, I'm okay with it. Some people are not big fans of it because, like, it takes away the fun of the roleplay and more of, like, focusing on number crunching and shit like that. But me, I guess I got used to a life where it's so fun to be powerful, but at the same time, the DM tells, okay, guys, if you guys are gonna min-max, I'm gonna min-max my stuff too. And then it becomes, like, a really nice competition. As long as it's healthy competition and not, like, trying to be on each other's throat, it should be okay. It should be okay. I just want for my wizard to not die with one hit. Isn't that min-maxing? Do min-maxers give you trouble by being number lawyers? Oh, I can be a rules lawyer and a numbers lawyer personally. I just don't do it because I don't like being an asshole. But it's not really that big of a deal for me. I don't really have a lot of problems because I'm personally okay with the habit. I've never really tried min-maxing myself, but I know how to counter min-maxers essentially. I just dislike it when all of the players' characters just combat and no personality. Oh yeah, if you can incorporate min-maxing into your roleplay, I will love you. I will love you as a DM. I mean, I'm not gonna do you any favors in game, like make you have an easier life than everyone else. But I personally am a story and narration kind of person, so I really do like it if it makes sense that this person does this because that blah blah blah, and it's like related to their numbers. I don't really mind, but as long as you guys can roleplay, even without the voice acting, I'm okay with it. I'm totally okay with it. In this game, the player should act as the character's lore. If the character doesn't know anything, you should act as if you don't know anything too. Yeah, exactly. That's how you avoid metagaming. And you're also allowed to ask, hey DM, would my character know this? Would my character know if the troll is weak to fire? I think that's a better way of going at it instead of like, hey, I know this is weak to fire, I'll do that. Just make a recent wizard and sink a lot of stat into con and got high rolls for hit points. By the way, girl, doesn't die to 1d4. I do that, but I won't say it. Is life D&D? Some players like really different things. So again, what I'm saying is that if you ever want to start D&D, I hope you start it with friends who you're comfortable with playing with, and figure out what it is that you like about D&D, and figure out if your friends like the same, so that if they do like it the same way that you do, then it's going to be a fun time. But if you find that it's really not your cup of tea, or you might need to like find other people to play with, I hope you find other people to play with that you vibe with, that you actually enjoy playing with, so that D&D doesn't have to be a chore. It can be a really fun experience, a really fun activity that you and your friends can do without it being like taxing on your brain or whatever. Me studying hard to prepare for an exam, DM, that's min-maxing. Yeah, D&D is not for everyone, and it's okay to understand that. It's really, I don't know, like, it's also like placing certain restrictions on yourself when you're playing. But as I said, different strokes for different folks. Hey DM, my character grew up with his father in the forest who was a hunter. Is it possible that my character knows the troll's weakness? And then your DM would make you roll for it, maybe. The hardest thing is really finding a D&D group that would fit well with you. Personally, I really found it hard because, like, I don't know. It's just really hard. But I hope you find, if you are gonna try. Go find a group you're comfortable with. D&D is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to, like, feel mentally draining afterwards. My cousins are my first players, but I regret it a little because they're always messing with each other, even in front of monsters. Yeah, I guess if they're younger relatives and you invite them to play, it's different kasi. Like, I feel like this is why, like, I feel like running for teenagers and running D&D for children is different compared to running it with people the same age group as you. And I don't mean it's because of like the themes that you might present in your game. I mean, that's one thing, but the other thing is how they would naturally treat D&D. Like some people within the same age group as you might have the same interests, might feel like they want to take this character seriously, but if you're a kid, you kind of just want to be a hero, or you just want to be funny. Something like that, to that extent. So you really have to temper your expectations as a DM for something like that. Biggest no-no for players is reading the module ahead of time, especially if you're playing like a written module, like an official module or something. And they defeat an enemy by roasting it with sick burns on a metagaming standpoint. Yeah, as long as you like experience it firsthand without having to rely on like a quote-unquote walkthrough or the module, reading it beforehand so that you're prepared, you'll be fine. You wouldn't end up metagaming. Or like you don't do research on the go, or like on the fly about the monster you're facing, so that you can play better in combat. Because like you can't yeah, it's weird. But yeah, another thing I guess is like finding out if the DM is running a game that's something that's a fit for your expectations. Because some DMs like making meme games, or like really lighthearted chill games where anything can happen and the DM just rolls with it. And then there are some DMs that prefer nitty-gritty, really hard lifestyle choices and very big decision-making standpoints, and anything can kill you kind of games. And you have to find out which you want to sign up for. Otherwise, you're not gonna enjoy it. I like playing so far with people who really get into the RP. It needs to be a vulnerable atmosphere where peeps don't fear embarrassment. Exactly why playing with people you're comfortable with is important. And I cannot stress that enough. I personally also like thrive in games where roleplay is emphasized. And I think I got really lucky with my guinea pigs and guinea pigs. I got really lucky with them, and the last group I played with, that game was streamed on my boss's channel on YouTube because they're really heavy on roleplay. Like they really put themselves into the shoes of their characters, and they really went with it. They really rolled with everything that was happening to it. They were interacting with the environment a lot, and they were interacting with each other, with the NPCs and everything. It was a really fun time. Actually, wouldn't that mean that some D&D campaigns aren't replayable? Like the one with Bosu, for example, since you already know the story beats. Here's the thing. I played that game like maybe 3 times already, 2 or 3 times as a player. But I bring different characters to that game. And because I don't metagame, like I know that this is something that would happen. Like the bracelet part, we have to be friendly with one of the NPCs there to get the bracelet. But I bring different characters to that game. Even if I know the story, my character doesn't. So I play as my character. And if my character is an ass to kids or like to butlers and stuff, then I will make that character act like that. Within reason, of course. But like, I try to do it as naturally as possible, as if I don't know anything about it, because it's a character and it's not really me that's there. So technically you can replay it, and you can just wait for a different outcome every time. But at the end of the day, as long as you don't spoil other people's fun because you already know what's going to happen, that's the best outcome. I want to play D&D right now. Ask the people in your game if they want to be Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, or Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Oh my god, Monty Python! This is why I can go full ham in RP if I'm in a room full of D&D enjoyers. Yeah, definitely. If I think I emphasized it before that I'm really a roleplay heavy DM more than anything. I mean, I can dish out really neat combat, but I feel like roleplay is more my forte. D&D games are like a roller coaster. Some sessions are not as fun, some are amazing, some have more RP than most. Doom before is probably not replayable. We were technically beta testers. As a DM, how would you roll? Are you a rule of cool is the rule, or by the book? I'm a mix of both, I think. Like I feel like if something is really creative, I would definitely like allow it to happen within reason. Like I'm not gonna make something absurd happen, but if it makes sense to an extent, but at the same time it's like applicable, I would let it happen. But at the same time, I'm also a very by the book person. It's really hard to balance it, but it really depends on the situation. It's very case by case, true. D&D's end goal is all about everyone having a good time. It doesn't have to be perfect as long as everyone wants to do it again next week. Oh yeah, that's the cutest thing I've seen so far about D&D. Yes, definitely. If everyone still feels like they want to play the next week, then you win. Because that means everyone still has the heart for it. Like, if everyone still has the heart for it, then that's great. Because like, hey, see you guys next week. I'll be the one to bring the pizza and the drinks next time, you know? I've never played IRL D&D. Or maybe I have, but like I've never experienced like a weekly IRL D&D. Like I want to be someone that brings snacks when we play D&D. I never got to experience that. like yeah, if you're one of your players or maybe the DM actually offers food, like, oh, I am game for that. The rule is who's late brings the food. I kind of want to try D&D now. Can I play against my fellow players in D&D? It's possible to PvP with them, but it depends on the DM again, and if the player really wants to engage in something like that. Me a Snack Lord Cometa. Hey, personally, if I were going to be a part of like an IRL D&D session, I would bring like potato chips. I would bring potato chips and iced tea, probably. That would be my snack of choice. Me pa peanut. IRL D&D is a whole level of Electra. I used to play in cafes and my players would sometimes give me a tip by buying me coffee. Yeah, I feel like I'm more of like a potato chips and iced tea kind of person. Something that isn't as heavy but easy to be like finger food and like pika-pika and stuff like that. Pringles are the stack of gold hoarded by the dragon. Oh my god! Alam niyo ba, na nag-team building kami ni Elaine tsaka ni Virgil, nakita nila may dala ako parang Pringles. Tapos binuksan nila kagad. Tapos kinain nila agad. Para sa resort pa yan. Kinakain nyo na on the way pa lang tayo. It was fine though. I shared the Pringles with them. I imagine a new series of the Saw franchise that Mask Guy trapped a bunch of people just to play D&D. Do you want to play a game? Bring cookies as a DM if there's a baker NPC can be an inclusion in the game. That's cute. Pizza is my usual food of choice, yeah. Oh, or like fries. Or yeah, maybe like brownies or like cookies or cake, maybe? Cake? Yeah, I don't know. I want to experience that someday. The first and the only time, or maybe I played D&D IRL twice. Yeah, the first time we played at a board game cafe, so there was naturally food, but like it was KKB, so I had to pay for my own food. And the second time was like we just went out for dinner after the game, so that's different too, because I had to pay for my own food. But when someone brings in the food for an IRL game, I want to experience that. Or maybe I want to be the one to bring the food. Like, yeah, snacking while playing with people I love and care about, because we're playing D&D. Yeah. Only twice IRL, yeah. Only twice IRL. Everything else is like an online game for me. Yeah, that's usually how it goes. It's always online D&D for me. Because essentially, like, online D&D is kind of like more accessible for a lot of people, because you don't really have to go out. You can just stay on Discord with your party mates and stuff. We have no snacks IRL D&D. Our fuel is caffeine, bad rolls, and worse decisions. Relatable though. It's true, it's true. Wow. Crazy. I don't know. Maybe someday I can go do IRL D&D. See, I don't really know why I have a lot of dice sets for someone that doesn't even play IRL as often. Because like if I'm playing online, I'm usually on Roll20 or Foundry, and there are digital dice sets there. So why the heck am I collecting all of these funky math rocks, you know? One of my old D&D sessions, I remember I made everyone milk tea and cooked them pancit canton and corned beef. Oh my god, that's so cute! Actually, when you play IRL D&D, do you still use the Roll20 stuff, or do you bring actual models and stuff? It doesn't have to be like fancy models. Sometimes you can just have a checkerboard with tiles, and you can just bring printouts of your character's token and face, and then you just place it on the board. You can pretty much be very imaginative with it. But some people really like going the extra mile, getting 3D printed models of their characters and monsters and like the DM boards and stuff like that. But you can pretty much play D&D like theater of the mind, where everything is imagined. But yeah, for the aesthetic, how cool could it be to be a D&D camp? Wah! I have this idea that jail wardens should introduce D&D to the players, that way they won't be bored. Lego minifigures. In IRL D&D, I use coin for PCs and cups and mugs for large creatures. Yeah, on my end, we really just printed our tokens and slapped them on, glued them onto, like, I glued them onto, like, cardboard so that it's, like, thicker, you know? 3D printed Avre. Maybe in 2030 there would be holographic D&D tables or something. Yeah, that would be cool. I wonder if I'd still be playing D&D 10 years from now. Maybe I'd be one of those like older dudes that still play D&D, but it's more serious this time. I don't know. Pogs' tokens, yeah. Alright. Well, I talked about making adventures, right? I made an adventure with Sheepy, and then they died, and there was this crazed man, and then he ran away. So, I don't know if I really touched upon making adventures, or if I just dabbled on my thought process for them, and then I answered a lot of D&D questions. I feel like we were kind of due for a D&D Q&A, but I feel like I'll do a D&D Q&A maybe like, maybe after a while, because I feel like I've exhausted like a lot of the questions already before, so I think I might need some time to build it up again. Back in my days, we used to play D&D with pen and paper. Do the adventurers get the 10 gold since all the sheep are dead? Good question. Okay, so in this scenario, if the adventurers manage to beat the old man up and the demon that he summoned and go back to the farmhand, the farmhand can either be a very understanding NPC, like, oh my god, I am so sorry. I didn't know that there was a crazed maniac out there that was hell-bent on summoning a demon. Here you go, 10 gold for the sake of the trip. or something. Or maybe they could be an asshole, like, hey, I was asking for sheep, I didn't ask for an adventure, no bueno. So yeah, it depends on if you as a DM would want to, like, you know, give it to the players or not. But I guess I will be nice, and I will care about the sanity of those I sent to look for my sheep. So I will give them 10 gold. It's the most that I can do. It's the least, I mean, that I can do. Got a good idea on the flow of an adventure. That is my flow of making an adventure. So like, if you remember the 2 adventures that I homebrewed for my guinea pigs, I started with the problem that nobles were disappearing, and it's up to the players to decide. They went to the investigation part. They found the leads for what's happening. Like, they found out that, oh, there's this cult and stuff. And then they took the bait. My adventurers took the bait, and they ventured deeper into this adventure, and they found the reason, they found the end goal, and they eventually completed the quest. That's it. That's basically it. That's the flow of the adventure that I followed. It's the same with the second adventure that I prepared for them, which is essentially they have an idea of what's happening, but they need to go to this specific spot, right, to find the missing people. And they had the idea, they investigated the area, the cave, they had their leads, they found out where they were supposed to go, and they discovered new things. And they had to make a decision if they wanted to spare people or like do things the diplomatic way, and then they had their endpoint and they get their reward. That's basically it. And yes, my world is now officially sinking and on the verge of destruction because of their new discovery. But yeah, that is the extent of my game. It started out with like a ballroom dance, but now the world is sinking into the abyss. Fun! Very fun. Yeah. So that's generally this is my thought process as a DM. My thought process in how to create adventures generally, but this is for scenarios when I know that combat will probably be involved. Role-playing in general and making non-player characters likable or at least informative is a totally different thing, which I think I might discuss next time, like how to make NPCs, how I made my NPCs, like Avray, the Guildmaster, the almost widowed wife. Yeah, how do I like put personality into like characters that can be repetitive elsewhere, right? So maybe I can do that next time. DMing is just like fishing, cast your line, and wait for them to take the bait. Exactly! And you guys took the bait! The guinea pigs came for the adventure, but stayed for the hot noble who's now a widow due to circumstances. Hey! Hey! The husband came back, but there's something wrong with his brain now. So he's technically like in the picture, you know? My character might be suffering from corruption from the Eldritch Being, but the game is fun. The widow is the bait. Yeah. Yeah, so I guess this is a peek into how my brain works when it comes to D&D. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I know I talked about a lot of things in the middle, and I know this isn't the most organized like piece of note. Piece, it's not even a piece, it's not the most organized window of a doodle board, but it's something. Yeah, thanks for indulging me, and thanks for, you know, coming over. It was my first time here. It was pretty fun. I hope you guys enjoyed though, and I'll try to get better at drawing so I can draw cooler stuff on the screen. Beating me to like D&D, I can't believe this. There's more to talk about. It might be the case for every D&D stream. Yeah, I'll think about... Okay, my next idea for D&D is probably talking about like the NPCs I had and how I made them likable. Or well, not really likable. There were some annoying NPCs I've made before, but maybe that's a good idea. Like injecting personality. I learned a lot. It was fun. Yeah, it's a lot of things. But yeah. Thank you. How to name NPCs on the fly. you have like a name generator ready in your browser window. That's it. Can't wait for the next stream. Thank you guys for joining. I really appreciate that you took the time spending it with me. I hope I was able to help, and I hope that, you know, someday you find your group, your people you enjoy D&D with. I hope you get really nice games. It's always a blast hearing you talk about D&D. Thank you! I appreciate your kind words, everyone. What's Bosu's channel? Bosu, I'ma link your channel. Wait. I'm not really a good DM, but I did stream a game on my boss's channel. So if you do want to check it out, I don't know if I can link a D&D thingy here. Wait, I can go to Bosu channel. Bosu channel. Here we go. Bosu, I'm sorry, I'm plugging your D&D stream. Yeah, if you guys like want to check it out, I guess. By the way, what entity is your VTuber avatar? I'm a medic. That's all I am. I DM'd here. And my players are my boss and people he picked out to be my players. Yeah, I hope you guys find a good D&D crowd. For the people who were asking about problematic issues in D&D, I hope you find solutions to those problems, and I hope you guys have fun games as well. Oh no, Mira's gonna start Bosu's popular era. Nah. Warning though, your heartstrings may get pulled. It's a bit slow at the start, but it really gets painful at the very end. Also, Reinveer, Solfidem, hello, and thank you so much for the super chat. I wanted more behind the scenes of ours and Bosu's campaign, but this is also great. I was gonna go there, but I realized like, oh, wait a sec, it's almost gonna hit 3 hours. Yeah. Medic and you got sheeps. Nice. Yeah. I do a lot of things on the side. far less crazy things, but you know, things regardless. Yeah, I enjoyed a lot with the tangents. I would have dissected your adventures at this point, but yeah, it's almost gonna be 3. It's always gonna be 3 hours, and before Bosu surpasses the girls and subs. There's still a 1 million goal, by the way. But anyway, again, thank you guys for joining. If there is anything that you might want to ask me about D&D, do feel free to like comment on the stream or on the VOD. I would be more than happy to reply, and I feel like I'm overdue with like looking at previous comments in my previous videos. But yeah. Yeah. Feel free to also comment your favorite part about the stream if you want. And that's it. Maraming salamat sa pagtangkilik sa aking stream. And I'll see you guys on Sunday for Nier Automata. You know, the weekly Nier. Anyway, thank you, my dearest Pamira, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.